Though we have all traveled many uncertain roads, we have always recognized something wasn't right. We searched high and low, yet our paths had never intersected. Our desire to seek truth, then to speak true, has brought us all together. That thing of ours is rooted in truth, because truth is the only unshakable foundation. In the greatest book, it states in John 8:32, "For ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free."
Truth is a powerful force. It is the foundation on which all great achievements are built, and the bedrock of trust and respect in any relationship. When we are rooted in truth, we can be confident that our decisions and actions are grounded in reality rather than in speculation or wishful thinking.
The pursuit of truth is not always easy. It requires courage, perseverance, and a willingness to face uncomfortable facts. But in the end, the truth is always worth it. It allows us to make better decisions, to build stronger relationships, and to create a more just and equitable world.
From politics and world events to entertainment and pop culture, we've got you covered. We'll explore our history and the stories that matter to uncover the truth that lies at the heart of each one. With our fingers on the pulse of the news cycle, we'll provide the insights and analysis you need to stay informed and engaged. As we stay rooted in truth and let the truth guide us in all that we do, let us be willing to listen, to learn, and seek out the facts, even when they challenge our own assumptions or beliefs.
Let us never forget that the pursuit of truth is not just an individual endeavor, but a collective one. Only by working together
With honesty and integrity,
can we build a better future for ourselves
And for generations to come.
This is That Thing of Ours. How's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us today on this Monday, 16th of September, 2024. We'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Rumble, and Pill.net.
and if you haven't already, please take a minute and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on Rumble or YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're over on Pill.net, take that red pill. If you're over on X, smash that heart. And we'll be over on X in a little bit listening to Big Daddy T
Yep.
talking about
President
dodging
Trump.
a bullet again.
Again,
Literally.
it's going to be interesting. Going to be really interesting. But we will see what he has to say. I've got a big feeling about this this speech from President Trump. You know, this whole "my fellow Americans." I think it's going to be hitting pretty hard tonight. I think that he might actually let us know a little bit more about what we as a nation are truly up against. I think that this might be the beginning of the grand finale that we're going to be seeing in this movie. And yeah, it's going to be interesting, but there's a lot going on. So I'm going to keep the jibber jabbering to a minimum.
Well,
And
let's
I
say
think we're
hi to
gonna
everybody.
dive right in.
We got F. Clint in the house.
What's up, F Clan?
Got Miss Bethany Ann and
Bethany
Light
Ann.
Sphere over on
Hey, Light
Pills.
Sphere. What's going on?
Chachi in the house.
What's up, Chachi? Hey, Chachi.
Miss Wendy in the house.
Wendy.
Miss Jenny.
Jenny.
Watch out for the frogs, Jenny. Miss Hope is in the house.
Hey, Hope.
Got
Steph.
Steph.
What's going on, Steph?
Jenny likes your ear job.
Yeah, I did get the ears lowered. Yeah. It's not bad. They did.
There's
pretty
Miss
good.
Tracy.
Hey, Tracy, what's going on?
There's Miss Ange.
There's Ange. How you doing, Ange? All right.
So we got a lot going on
Yeah.
before
That guy, you know.
Trump talks on X. Oh, look at this. Wendy found a watermelon with seeds this weekend,
What?
and it was amazing.
I can only
Oh,
imagine.
that's so
I can
awesome.
only imagine.
Oh,
Yeah.
brother Vic in the
Hey,
house.
Vic, what's going on, man?
We got to get you back on here, brother.
Yeah, we got to get you back on, man.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and
Let's dive right in.
Let's do it.
Perhaps you follow
There we go.
the most.
All right, we're going to try this again. All right, here we go. It's really fighting you.
return to the White House, but this event was not on any kind of public schedule, so it's not clear how this alleged lone gunman knew the former president would be playing golf today, and also at what time. We heard the president was on the fifth hole on the front nine at Trump International. How did this lone gunman know? Perhaps he followed the motorcade. Of course, when the former president travels, he travels in a motorcade. He has Secret Service protection. But that is one of the things. If this was another potential assassin, how he had this information about where former President Trump was playing golf. Of course, he owns numerous golf courses in the state of Florida, Doral in the Miami area. But of course, Trump International is the closest to Mar-a-Lago and Palm Beach, where he resides. That is one of the big questions we hope to hear in this press conference coming up shortly, Eric.
Yeah, and even if you don't know exactly what his schedule is, if you're a local, you know that the former president plays golf. You can obviously see a police and the Secret Service presence. You can see the motorcade, and you know when that is happening. And we see a motorcade right now going over the bridge from Palm Beach over the bridge over to West Palm Beach.
It's not a far trip.
The former president spoke to Bret Baier, and Bret is quoting the former president as saying, quote, "Tell everybody I am fine, and the Secret Service did a great job." So in light of the new reporting that the Secret Service did what it's supposed to do, it saw a threat to the president, a potential threat, a man with an AK-47 within the vicinity of the former president on the street, a few hundred yards apparently away from the fifth hole. And the Secret Service agent did what they are trained to do, took out the service revolver, their weapons, and tried to stop this apparent suspect, this man with the gun.
So thoughts.
So thoughts are, and I love that Victor Vale said the 5x5 because of the fifth hole. I thought that's pretty good. Thank you for sharing that, brother. That's
and
really good.
And if you guys don't follow him on TikTok, you really should.
Yeah, y'all need to follow him on TikTok, without a doubt. Now, let's see. The fifth hole, AK-47. By the way, he presented his pew, his firearm, when Trump was about 300 yards away. Also shows, hey, Colleen, what's going on? This whole second attempt on his life, I almost started smoking again. Yeah, don't do that. I'm trying to quit. Yeah, bad day to try to quit smoking. How you doing, Colleen? Anyways, so AK-47 max effective range to a point target is about 350 yards. So really, he was at the end of what that rifle was capable of doing. Thank God the Secret Service was actually paying attention to this. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, don't forget Christian either. Let's see. With that, the Secret Service was on him through a chain link fence. He shouldn't have been there. It should have been, there you go. Victorious.Vale on TikTok.
Miss Jan.
Graham Jam. How you doing, Jan?
So what is the max that he could have?
About 350 yards. So he presented when Trump was about that far away. So he was reaching the limits of what that rifle's capable of doing. So again, thank God they get dumb people that don't know what they're doing, but there's a lot of answers because of where was that AK manufactured? I highly doubt we'll get that information. Right. Could it be an Iranian manufactured AK-47? That certainly would tell us a lot of information. Is it Russian? I highly doubt that it's Russian. You know,
why would Iranian?
Why not Iranian? They can't stand Trump. They know that Trump is a huge threat. Chachi says, seems like this Ralph dude has a lot of footprints. More disclosure, perhaps. Yeah, I think, and I think we're going to get into more information. So I'm probably going to hold off on a lot of stuff. Yeah, we're all trying to keep up with what's happening, Colleen. It's part of the jam here. Anyway, so yeah, let's go ahead and get on to the next video, and then we can kind of get into more of what we're seeing, what we're thinking, what the information is leading us to.
Okay. Now, go ahead and read that headline, sir.
MSNBC on the second assassination attempt. Trump was asking for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you expect there to be calls from within the Trump campaign to do that? because he's going to reach out to his supporters and say, let's take this down. We do not know, again, the source of any gunshot or gunshots. We don't know who's responsible for this. The whole thing has yet to be 100% confirmed from start to finish how this all played out. But do you expect to hear anything from the Trump campaign about toning down the rhetoric, toning down the violence, or would that be atypical of the former president?
Well, Alex, remember back to the assassination attempt on President Trump's life and how, there was talk of a new tone, and then the Republican convention was, by Trumpian standards, muted, and it did seem like he was, just trying to take it down a few notches, but then by the end of his convention speech, we were kind of back to where we started. So I don't know how long this could, this moment of unity for the country where we come together and we say, I don't want any political opposition to be under threat of violence. It's not okay. Any threat of violence, we don't want. I would love for us to have a unity type moment, but I think it's probably going to be pretty fleeting, as we've seen in the past.
Wow.
Thoughts?
So victim blaming. So is it okay to tell people that had an abortion that all the bad luck and unhappiness that they have is because of what they did?
Huh.
That's interesting. Just throwing a question out there. Oh, by the way, I wanted to go ahead and get this. I just
Thank
premonition.
you, Dee.
Oh, Dee. What? Oh, hey, Dee. Thanks for joining us. I've been listening to you for a while, but I don't go into the chat very often. I love listening to you. God bless. Well, God bless you too. Thank you, Dee. We
We're
appreciate
so
that.
Glad you're here.
That's
with
awesome. Yeah, that's
us.
awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for stopping by and saying something too. And you know what?
Yes.
Hello to everybody else out there too who doesn't comment very often or at all. We appreciate all of it. And yet don't feel obligated. We appreciate the fact that y'all are all here. Even the people who show up after and watch after the live. We think all of y'all are awesome. But anyways, prediction. I wanted to get this prediction out there
Go ahead.
for this. What's his name?
Ryan Routh. Ryan Wesley Routh.
Ryan Wesley Routh. Okay, I have a feeling that his autopsy that will be in the near future will be done quickly and leave a lot of questions, and that the body will be cremated before anybody really knows what's going on, and there's going to be a whole bunch of missing documents and strange things are going to surround this.
No way.
I'm just, call me Karnak the Great.
There you go.
Junior.
Jan says, just saw a video of the golf of Trump before MSNBC. So they were there again.
Okay. All right. How many times are they going to try to touch God's anointed? Trump gets stronger with every attempt. And I think that that's kind of part of it.
Mhm.
They should know they have to make it happen. But yeah, we'll get into that because I know we got some more about, do we have stuff about him?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't we, head on.
Okay.
Keep
You
going.
ready?
Yep. Here's Ryan Routh.
Of the action.
It said,
Post of the action.
It's not working for me.
No,
Hold
it's not.
on.
Yeah, it said that Ryan Routh was, just refresh that. Should clean it up. There we go. Interwebs are interwebsing. Here's Ryan Routh in a Nazi Azov Ukrainian propaganda video. See a lot of familiar names in the chat.
Brother Vic had to say real quick.
All right. So Brother Vic says, so let's think. Unalive him for skipping on taxes? No. Unalive him for stepping out on his wife? No. Knowing what powerful people did to his kids, prostitutes, and afraid 47 will spill the beans? Yeah. Check. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're nervous. They know what's happening.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, he's apparently a Nazi. Who would have thought? Who would have seen this one coming?
Yeah. Let's go.
All right.
Post of the action is to appeal to what leaders? What organization?
And Mary was.
Mm-hmm.
I have more on
And
him,
yeah,
too.
there's a lot of information on him. He's been recruiting to get people over there to Ukraine to go fight. You know, he actually put his money where his mouth is, and tried to get over there. Obviously, I don't know. Kind of interesting that all of it seems to be coming together to point in a specific direction, isn't it?
Exactly.
Jan says, Representative Higgins just said, hold, that's all. I'm hoping he wants him held and not released to FBI so we can talk to him. And yeah, if they can hold on to him, that would probably be in all of our best interest, because I know that there's been a lot of talk about Florida doing its own investigation.
Yep.
All right. Are we going to be getting to that soon too, or no?
That'll be tomorrow.
That'll be tomorrow.
Because we're gonna
Okay, so I think that's what the attempt is to try to secure and hold and properly interrogate and get information before he gets handed off to the usual suspects that seem to make, like always
problems go away.
Their problems go away and keep them from, saying the same old BS of, well, he was on our radar. Again, not a kind of a guard dog, not a like a he's more of a watchdog instead of a guard. FBI is more of a watchdog than a guard dog. That's what I'm trying to say. Words are hard. There we go. Anyways, Steph says, hold on, my friends, is getting ready to be a bumpy ride. Yes, it is. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm sure there's individuals in CIA that are working overtime, but they got to save their own ass. So yeah, I bet they are. So
Yeah.
whatever. Anyways, Aaron says before he gets handed off back to his HR department, or I mean FBI. Yeah.
Basically.
Basically.
Yep. You
All right.
ready?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay.
Are we still talking about him?
Yep.
Okay.
You want to read this down here?
Suspect and apparent second.
No. This one.
Oh, former neighbor of Ryan Routh says he was cuckoo, but didn't think he would go this far.
Let's go.
As we continue our coverage of the attempted assassination of Trump, we've learned the suspect has roots right here in the Triad. Ryan Routh, the man accused of hiding with an AK-47 style rifle on a Trump-owned golf course, spent years living in Greensboro. Fox 8's Elijah Skipper is live now in the studio with us. Elijah, you talked with one of his former neighbors who shared what she remembered about him.
Yeah, that's right. The neighbor I spoke with says she has known Ralph for nearly 2 decades. She described him as unusual, but said she could have never expected him to be involved in something like this. In fact, she says that when they last spoke back in May, just before he moved to Hawaii, everything seemed normal. He even gave her a hug as he said goodbye.
I thought he was just living the life, in Hawaii with the girlfriend and all. And so, for him to be, like I said, assassinating the president, that's just crazy.
That's the reaction from a woman who says she's known Ryan Routh for nearly 20 years. Routh, the man accused of hiding with an AK-47 at a Trump-owned golf course, lived for decades in this Greensboro neighborhood before moving to Hawaii in early May.
I didn't think he would go that far. I knew he was a little cuckoo, but assassinate the president, he was going to be going away for a long time. I just can't believe that, though. I just don't. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, the picture and stuff and all, I wouldn't even believe that.
This neighbor, who wishes to remain anonymous, says she wasn't surprised to hear about guns being involved. She claims seeing them in Ralph's home over the years.
I've seen the guns myself and all, but yeah, they had a lot of guns over there and stuff and all. Like I said, a lot of people were afraid of him. Back in the day,
Court records confirm Ralph's past includes several run-ins with the law, dating back to the early 2000s. According to court records, he faced charges for carrying a concealed weapon, hit and run, and barricading himself inside a local business with a firearm. Neighbors say encounters with Ralph over the years were sometimes tense.
We've called police on each other, and everything, him and my son and all, and it was, like I said, it was a lot.
That neighbor says that Ralph brought her a shirt before she left for Hawaii as a gift and hired her son to help with his move. She says everything seemed normal at that time. Cassie?
Thanks, Elijah. We will, of course, have the latest updates on this story as it develops both on air and online at myfox8.com. Stay with us for continuing coverage.
Thoughts, sir?
All right. So he was weird. Surprise, surprise. And there were some great comments there. First of all, though, thank you, Vic. Do truly appreciate that donation. That's awesome. Yeah, truly appreciate it. And then also Wendy said, wanted to point this one out, writing on the receipt, no tax on tips, Trump 2024. I think that's a great way. If nothing else, it'll make people talk inside the restaurant.
He
Yeah.
announced no tax on overtime today too.
Okay. Yeah. See, that makes sense. Maybe we can get to the no taxes part because
We're getting there.
taxation is theft. Yeah, we'll slowly but surely get there, and we'll see what happens. But I think I think the delayed release of that kind of information is done intentionally to draw specific responses, so that way they can go on the counteroffensive. Now, with that being said, yeah, dude was weird. Surprise, surprise. We could see that for ourselves just based off of the photos that they were showing of them, the still photos. And you're not going to be really right in the mind to go after, to unalive somebody anyways, especially if you just disagree with what they have to say. But there's also some extra crazy added in there as well, based off of the programming that people get off TV. And another thing that wouldn't surprise me is if this dude didn't get picked up for something and then they just turned him into an asset, a sleeper app asset, until they needed to call in a favor. And he probably just was told to do this because I don't think that he really has the capability to do these kinds of things. I think that they're running out of assets, but this is what they're going to be doing with them. But I know we're going to see more of it. It sucks. Anyways, Jan says, have to say he does look like E. Jean Carroll.
Yeah.
It could be. Who knows anymore? MK Ultras are just waiting around until they get the call. I believe that, D. I do believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So taxation is theft. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless it's tariffs, but that's not taxation. And that's to protect Americans. So what on earth is wrong with that?
Mm-hmm.
Have 1,000 minimum across the country. Yeah, I believe that there's.
I believe that.
Yeah, I'm sure that each corrupt agent has at least one or two assets that they work. Vic says, for those in the chat, 40% of every dollar goes away from you and to other countries. In the name of democracy, we are a constitutional republic if we can keep it. Amen, brother.
If we can keep it, ma'am.
Yeah, if we can keep it. 100%.
Yeah.
Chachi says CIA ain't got enough sleepers or compromised agents to really make a difference anymore. I don't think this was a super sloppy op. Feels like they're at their bottom of the barrel, super desperate. And I can see that too, Chachi. When it counts for them at this point in time, I 100% believe that they're scraping the bottom of the barrel of the assets that they have that aren't larger assets like gangs, something like that. So that still has yet to come, but they got to clean out the little trash that they got going on here. I do believe that a lot of this is not only exposure, but also house cleaning. It is designed to encourage the house cleaning. And it's going to be ugly, but I know that we'll all be fine. Colleen says, is DeSantis giving the Secret Service any information?
I'm sure.
He might be.
He might be.
But he might be giving them we don't talk about active investigations, which
he could.
Which would be beautiful.
Yeah.
We'll see how that one works out.
Yeah.
How funny would that be, though, to be an FBI agent and then the
Secret Service
or any of them and just say, yeah, we don't comment on current investigations, because I know there's somebody crooked in the team for Trump, and this is a very easy way to smoke out an asset and find out where the problems are, and that will make some huge differences. Also, I know that I've heard rumors that there's going to be a lot of people resigning because of the information that had come out or that is about to come out based off of the investigation of the Pennsylvania thing. Aaron says, Thierry Breton, the EU commissioner who threatened Elon Musk for hosting President Trump on X, has resigned in disgrace. And I think we'll see a lot more of that in the couple of months ahead.
So one of the reasons they hate TikTok is because information can get out there really quick. Okay.
Yeah.
And they scrubbed his social media quick, but Italian Princess,
she's so awesome.
She got it. Let's listen.
Are they trying to hide, as his entire Facebook page was scrubbed from the internet only minutes after the assassination attempt took place. You can see Ryan Ruth right there, the alleged.
You want to go ahead and read that?
Read what? It's minutia print.
Soldiers, please do not call me. We are
I got
still
it.
trying.
To get Ukraine to accept Afghan soldiers and hope to have some answers in the coming months. If you are interested in fighting in Ukraine, you must have a passport and send it to me by way of WhatsApp to phone
Blah,
number.
blah, blah, blah.
You must also have the money to purchase an airplane ticket to Moldova. If you cannot afford the cost, you cannot go. We are also trying to get Taiwan to accept soldiers, hopefully in the coming years. Please have patience. Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Carol.
Hey, Carol, what's going on?
I agree,
And-
Vic. I agree, Vic.
TikTok is the tavern. That's where the
Yeah.
information's getting passed, without a doubt.
Mhm.
You know, it's happening. Colleen says Dan Bongino talked about it today, but I saw something later on, but I didn't catch it. Oh man.
Yeah.
Hmm.
D says, I'm still happy DeSantis is our governor. Don't agree with all, but
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
The
Okay.
game has to play out. All right. So we driving on?
The alleged assassin of Donald Trump, the guy who almost took his life, was a mere minutes away from actually doing that. Very scary stuff. But here's his full.
Okay. So that looks
I
like
can't
it's
read it.
yeah, it's because it's in Ukrainian.
Okay.
And it's basically like a visa
Okay.
authorization. You have to have this basically fill out all the paperwork, normal stuch for trying to go
You're not going to see
overseas.
this anywhere else. Like I said, this band fully. You can see that letter up there where they're trying to recruit people to come and fight for you.
All right, so they were one that's kind of cut off at the top, basically looking for Afghan speakers, must speak perfect English, send me your passport, military certificates, and resume, and one file on WhatsApp again. And then here's another one. It appears to be in Arabic. Don't call me at all. Simply send me your passport and resume to WhatsApp number, blah, blah, blah. You don't have a passport, you can't go to Ukraine and fight. Do not call me. Send me your passport on WhatsApp, blah, blah, blah. They just a repeat. Happy holidays.
He actually organized something where they got soldiers to come and fight for Ukraine. He's also made some statements about the Israel-Palestine conflict, basically saying that Palestine is owned by the Palestinians. So a little bit controversial.
All right.
I am unclear what part of Israel Jews owned based on this historic map. Judea, perhaps. It seems to historically all be Palestinian.
But the point is, this guy has subscribed to every single thing under the sun when it comes to the Democrat establishment. He is, in fact, a plant of them. It's obvious that he did not work alone. He's a perfect guy. All they have to do is contact him and they can get him to do.
China's newest round of biological warfare on the free world is called, I can't say that.
Mycoplasma pneumonia, created by their scientist Xi Jinping to eliminate as many democratic civilians as possible coming from inside sources in China. We must move away from Chinese goods made from slave labor and defend Taiwan and South Korea in January. There is little time left. I still need another 2,500 Afghan soldiers with passports. So obviously,
Their dirty work relatively easy.
Obviously, he was looking to send people out to Afghanistan as well.
They set him up right there on the golf course. I'm extremely confident that's exactly what happened. If you read through these posts, you can see how easy it would be to recruit a guy like this. He even went as far as saying that Trump was a threat to democracy. Meanwhile, he's trying to take out a candidate to take him off the race. Trump's the threat to democracy, this guy repeats from the talking heads in the media, while simultaneously being willing to literally thwart democracy in coordination with the system. Scary stuff.
All right.
So thoughts.
Oh,
thank you, Chops. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chops. We
And
appreciate that, man.
Brother Vic,
We
thank
do
you.
deserve better psyops. There's no doubt about that.
Brother Vic, thank
better
you so
psyop.
very much.
Oh
Thank
wow,
you. Can
Vic,
you
thanks
copy
again.
and
Yeah, I
paste
can do that. Oh, Vic, that's awesome, dude.
My
and
heart
and
is
thank
so
you
full
as
right
well,
now.
Chops. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. There, I don't know, taking forever to send.
Nope, it went, baby.
There we go. All right. Vic says, supporter 50. Thank you very much for that. Okay, for those in the chat, if they are successful in the next attempt, what are we doing? There has to be a precipice. We will be there, or will we be there? Look, man, I know that we will be there, but I think that we're all waiting for that call from President Trump. You know, everybody's rallying around him, and ain't no use in us trying to start some jazz up. Just not worried about that whatsoever. But yeah, I'm hearing you on that. Now, I also wanted to point out the fact that he was talking about Chinese bioweapons. Now, let that one sink in a little bit. Isn't that a little odd? Because wouldn't that be counter to the left's narrative, especially since they're the ones that are working with China, that they're the Manchurian candidates. So one of their people is going to be talking about problems with China. I find that very interesting, and I find it to be a controlled opposition kind of narrative going out to the left, because that's where we can find some unity, because now the left is actually talking about bioweapons. So it'll make it easier through predictive programming to get people to understand, even on the far left. So that way, once it finally clicks, it'll be like, oh shit, I was hearing that from my conspiracy people on the far left. So there's a lot of things that line up, and that's going to tell us exactly where we're going. And it looks like, you know, there's going to be a lot of repercussions or blowback to China based on this. But I have a feeling that we're going to figure a lot more out as time goes on. So keep eating your popcorn. We'll see how that goes. Chop says, TikTok also the anonymous source of the ABC whistleblower death in a car accident. Fake, but it had 4 legs for a second.
Yeah. Oh, and let me just say something to Miss Tracy. Tracy, do not let somebody taking your video and reusing it upset you. It is about getting the information out. Our videos get taken all the time and reuse. So does Christian, so does Jenny's. We don't care. As long as the information is getting out there, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter where it comes from. But you know, you got to come, that's an ego thing, and you got to come from a place of, I don't care how many people reuse my video, because all I care about is the truth getting out there.
So yeah, and I think that that's where we need to come from. We can't be upset. People steal things all the time, and it's like, well, that's on them. So that is something that we should just be grateful, because the information got taken down so quickly that the information is actually getting out there. But yeah, I understand. It would be nice to have credit given where credit's due. So I get that. It probably made it all over the place.
Yeah, it did.
You know, who knows? But great information.
Yeah. You ready?
Yep.
You know, people say, I don't know if I'm chosen. And I say, you chosen? Oh yeah, you chosen. Let me prove it to you. We all have that person in our life that has been there for us, that has reached out to us, that has went over and beyond for us when they didn't have to. They expected nothing in return. And you won't let anybody say anything bad about that person. You're not going to let them do it. Well, that's how you are about God when you're chosen. See, what you've realized, and what I've come to realize, is that most people that go to church are not going to take a stand for God or for Jesus in a crowded room. Somebody can say something derogatory about God or Jesus, or something could be an error, and nobody's there to correct it. But you are. You can't stand it when somebody says something an error about the God that you serve, about your King Jesus. You can't tolerate it. You can't keep your mouth shut. I'll tell you something else about chosen ones. When you're asked a question, you'll answer that question, but you'll take it a step further. You can't help yourself. You might say, well, that's wrong, and then you'll dig deeper, and then you'll go to the Word of God, because you recognize that everything in the natural is a byproduct of the spiritual. And that is when you usually lose the room. People will just start rolling their eyes or walking away from you. That's truth. You're speaking truth. They can't handle that. That right there is what separates you from everybody else. That right there is typically the relationship that is built to get to that point in your period of isolation. So if you haven't been there yet, get ready. If you find yourself in agreement with the things I'm talking about, don't even ask yourself if you're chosen. See, God has shown his commitment to you. You've been chosen. The question is, what's your commitment to God?
Thoughts, sir?
So beautifully said. And I think it's something that we should all be comfortable with. You know, as people who've been trying to get that information out there, despite how people feel, because we see that the jibber jabber is bad. We see that masks are actually causing people to be sick. You know, there, even Fauci did a paper that said that that was what caused most of the sickness during the Spanish flu. You know, of course, that got scrubbed, and, you know, you're sitting here trying to tell people things. So we're already used to speaking to people about things that aren't popular opinions. And so we need to embrace that trait that each one of us have. And when we hear something that we believe is wrong, not to confront so much as to ask that question. And that's something that we're finding out is that Socratic method, the asking a question when you already know the answer. So that way we can get people to reconsider what they've been thinking. And that's probably the best way to go about it when you hear somebody talking about the Bible or talking about God, you know, finding that right time to have that discussion. And sometimes it may be more prudent to wait to speak to them off to the side so it doesn't cause any embarrassment. And sometimes it's important for everybody to hear your objection right off the bat. And that's kind of where the difficulty comes in and our desire to go talk. But we've already had years and years of practice with this, just based off of us trying to have conversations about the very real things that other people are under the misbelief that are not true. But after time and time again of being proved right, people are more willing to listen to the things that we have to say. And so therefore, as God is becoming a part of the conversation with love and kindness, we need to make sure that that a proper conversation is being had about it. And I think that that's truly important. That was a great video. I love that.
Yeah. And I will say, Tracy, just so you know, I know you're really upset. You think these people are making, all this money on your video. They're not making a ton of video, and people, come on here and they steal ideals from us all the time. And we've had some issues in the past,
which will remain in the past.
Yes. And all you have to know is that everything happens for a reason, sweetie.
Everything happens for a reason.
Everything.
Yeah. And so don't get upset, especially if it's getting the word out. It's a jagged little pill to swallow, but vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And sometimes that's a strong part of our growth, is making sure, all right, God, I would love to be able to do something about this, but it's in your hands because you say that vengeance is yours. It's an opportunity for growth, and it can be a challenge, but you know what? In the end, if we're growing, then we're feeling better about life as we make it through these tests and challenges and lessons that we're going through.
Yeah, because the Bible doesn't say you might have some tests and trials. It says when.
Yeah.
When. So let's get back to this douchebag.
Yeah. Hey, he's got a decent rig.
This man behind me just tried to assassinate Donald Trump. His name is Ryan Wesley Ruth. He was trying to take Trump out while he was golfing. Secret Service spotted a barrel sticking out of a bush. Then the Secret Service agents engaged, leading Ruth to flee the scene. He was subsequently apprehended by law enforcement in Martin County after a witness provided details of his vehicle, which was tracked down using a license plate reader. At the scene where Ruth was hiding, authorities recovered the rifle, 2 backpacks containing ceramic tiles, possibly for bulletproofing, and a GoPro camera, suggesting he intended to document the event. Oh, and I didn't mention that he's donated to Democrats 19 times since 2019. So if I zoom in here, you can see his name and you can see Act Blue, Act Blue, Act Blue, Act Blue. It's a Democratic fundraising organization. Oh, and if you look back here, you can see the state, it's Hawaii. And then if you look here, you're going to see Facebook wipe his account live. Why is Facebook wiping his account? Why can't we go see what he's been posting? Also, rewind this and look, you can see he's from Hawaii. But again, why is Facebook wiping his account? Oh, he's also been very obsessed with the Russia-Ukraine war. Ask yourself, what has this man seen? What is he believing where he thinks the necessary thing to do is to go assassinate Donald Trump? What convinced him that that is the right thing to do? Think about that. I have a good idea of what it is.
Exactly, Jenny.
So, yeah,
Thoughts, sir?
he just looks like a well-paid asset at this point in time, or well-funded asset. Not well-paid, but well-funded. You know, has some fancy stuff there. Scrubbed everything as quick as they could. But the beautiful thing about the internet is there's always somebody that's got some kind of information on their little plans. And I say that that's an amazing thing about all of this, because we're actually getting information that they attempted to keep from us. Now let that one sink in a little bit more about how great everybody's doing that's going out there and getting the information and making sure that that information is spread to the masses. And I'm going to say that that's probably one of the most important parts about all of this is it's a group effort that we all get the benefits from, because the information gets captured and it gets sent out and everybody is able to spread that truth. And that is what's waking other people up. So yeah, I had felt, that was important. And yeah, Rambo made it clear too. Nobody's making any real money.
Yeah.
It's a few people that get paid by, I don't know, the Democratic National Party. So that way they can spread a message. Those are the people that are making money.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the capture, here we go.
Here we go.
Driver, take 2 steps to your right. Take 2 steps to your right. Come back. Driver, walk straight back. Keep walking. Keep that low. Keep on,
He didn't look like he wanted to put up too much of a fight.
No, it didn't. Almost, of course, then again, so many people, that's how they do it. They don't put up a fight, or, sometimes they just deal with it right then and there. But, we'll see how that goes. I'm certainly glad that Florida's taking the lead on this one. It'll be, I saw that because he had his hands up and everything. I'm the great Cornholio. Yeah, I was going to avoid that, but I'm glad you said that. TV from a bunghole.
I mean, he just looks like a weirdo,
He
a complete weirdo.
Yeah, like his hair should be blue and wearing a pussy hat and all that stuff. Yeah.
Ugh. All right, we got Preston talking about it, who is super close to Trump. I'm watching the time, so that's why I'm kind of rushing.
A second assassination attempt on President Trump's life. Now, many of you have reached out over the last several hours and expressed how angry, sad, and hopeless you feel. And all that's warranted. But let me make one thing abundantly clear. I feel none of the above. I feel more emboldened and more empowered tonight than I have ever felt in my entire time in politics. And it proved to the American people that we are in absolute spiritual warfare. It is no longer one candidate against the other. It is good versus evil, and there is only one man that represents that good, and that is President Trump, along with God. America will never have another individual that will stand up and fight for us like President Trump does. America will never have another individual that seeks office at his own demise. An individual that not only gives up billions of his own dollars, gives up his personal character, but risks his life every single day standing up for the American people. So while you absolutely are warranted to feel angry, frustrated, or however you may feel tonight, it is important that you then realize that we still have a fight to win. Now, many of you reach out every single day asking how you can help President Trump. I will tell you this. It's no longer just about how to help President Trump, but it's how to help America. Make no mistake, when you go to cast your ballot in November, President Trump's name will be listed there. But behind that name will be the entire country, the fabric of this country, the morals and values and everything that those before us fought so hard for. That is what is behind President Trump's name on that ballot. The link in my bio has many ways that you can help President Trump's campaign, or as I like to call it, America's campaign. In addition to that, all of that energy that you're feeling tonight, and what you felt today when you saw those news alerts come across your phone or your TV, turn that energy into something positive. Make it an appointment to reach out to your state's GOP tomorrow and ask the question, how can you help? While President Trump and this campaign continues to move forward, and we continue to need the help of every single American to bring us across the finish line, there are states across this country tonight that are on the brink of losing their conservative livelihood. States like Indiana that is 1 point within margin of turning into a blue state this November. So yes, while President Trump's campaign will move forward, it is important that you also take part in your local and state elections, and you reach out and ask how you can help. The last thing you will want is on November the 6th to wake up and wish that you had said something or done something differently. Do not allow today's events to distract you. Continue to keep the faith, allow those emotions to turn into actions, and let's make a difference. Much love, God bless, and as always, keep the faith.
Sir.
Okay, so obviously we need to help President Trump as much as possible. I kind of, he's very eloquent, but he said that America won't have another person like President Trump ever again. And I say that that's the opposite for me personally. That's what we should expect from our president. And that's what we should expect from the people that run this nation at the highest level, that they would be willing to sacrifice their time and their money and, you know, their life and their, fortunes for the nation. That's what it's about. That's what the spirit of America truly is that love for something greater than oneself. So I do believe that we will have people like President Trump again. It's just that America needs to wake up to that love for something greater than self. All you have to do is take a quick look around about everything that's going on in the world around us. You know, you got to have the latest, German imported car, and you got to have the latest fashion for your house and your clothes, and you got to have brand name this and brand name that. That's where most of America is, whatever they're told to purchase on the television. But as people are waking up, they're recognizing how hollow and how unfulfilling all of these things are in life. And people are recognizing to ask the more important questions in life, as we do have our livelihood really stolen out from underneath us with a replacement moving in every single day that would be against the way it's supposed to be done. Now, I believe that Americans, as we come through this, are going to appreciate what President Trump has done more so moving forward in the future. And that's what the expectation will be in the future. And that people like the Schiffs and the Clintons and the Kamalas and name one. And those people won't have much of a chance in the future. Wendy says, someone finally said what I've thought for a while. What if everything we've seen is AI to show us how advanced it is? I always think about the movie War Games. And, I've thought about that as well, as how much of this stuff that we're seeing is actually computer generated. Keep in mind that when you go to Disney and you look at the presidents and the Haunted Mansion and all of those animatronics that they have and how advanced they were for the 60s and 50s when they built those things, and Epcot Center when they built that as well, we understand that they would have kept on with their march towards a greater ability to entertain people. And so, they stopped telling us what they could do a long time ago and started using that technology against us. So I do believe that there's a lot more AI than we're probably willing to accept at this point.
Yep. You ready?
Yeah.
I got Charlie Kirk.
Hey, everybody. Excuse my daughter's artwork back here. Wow. They just tried to kill Donald Trump again. 2 impeachments, 4 indictments. My daughter's right here, actually. They just tried to kill Trump again. sad. 1 second, honey. Okay? Just 1 second. They tried to kill Donald Trump again. There was a shooter at the golf course where Donald Trump was golfing today. How they knew that Donald Trump was going to be there. 1 second, okay? 1 second. How they knew that Donald Trump was going to be there, and the Secret Service identified them thanks to the Secret Service, and they were able to neutralize the threat. And 1 second, okay? And this is unbelievable. The hand of God is on Donald Trump. I don't say that lightly. And they're going to keep on trying to destroy Trump. They're going to keep on trying to ruin our movement. And the only way we beat them is in November at the ballot box. That is the only way. And MSNBC is now saying, oh, Donald Trump has to turn down his rhetoric. And he's been doing that for quite some time. Because of that, this is why this is happening. This is repulsive. This has no place in America. Whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, we must stand against this. Donald Trump is alive and well, and everything he's been against, facing 700 years in federal prison, shot at in the ear, and now another assassination attempt. Donald Trump lives, and so does our movement. Keep the faith. They're going to keep on trying to take him out and take what we have together as a movement of citizens to reclaim this country. Unity, peace, make America great again.
Thoughts?
They're going to continue to try to come after Trump. Not a surprise. Truly believe that. And I do believe that the only way that we can win this is at the ballot box.
I agree.
And if it doesn't work, but then again,
go vote in person.
Yeah, go vote in person. And as more and more and more Americans turn to President Trump and they all go out to vote, more and more people are going to talk about this, and more people are talking about it. Yeah, 2-0, checkmate. As people talk about this and more people wake up, that's when the military will have no choice but to come in after Trump wins the election. Just like Q said, military is the only way. I believe that the election is going to be the one thing that makes it so that everybody's awake. It's this election. This is the important time. So we got to make sure that we're getting people to go out and be active and not just talk about it, but okay, make sure you're going to vote. We got to start that crap again,
Yeah.
But you know what? People need to hear it.
Yep. You ready? We got 9 minutes.
Yep.
Let's go.
I'm feeling great, God. I'm going to church every Sunday. I'm reading the Bible every day. I'm even doing small groups.
Do I know you?
Lord, it's me. I'm a faithful follower.
Really? What have you done to help people?
Lord, I preach and study your word. I've been memorizing so many verses and just trying to get to know you better.
Like Satan. What? Even demons believe and shudder. They know the word better than you do, but they don't help people. Why haven't you helped anyone?
I mean, I've donated money to the poor and I tithe religiously.
The bare minimum, really, things that even non-believers do. That's your defense. That's how you're going to represent me.
I guess I just haven't felt called or motivated to do so.
Why must I motivate you to help people? That is how I know my spirit is not in you. Do you think I was motivated when I was on the cross? Or was it out of my love for you that despite how I feel, I was able to lay my life down for you? Carry your cross. Because I don't know you until you do.
Thoughts?
We should be active. We should be very active. And part of that's speaking and letting people know and making ourselves uncomfortable. Sometimes it can be uncomfortable to talk to people about God. But you know what? What else are we here for? It's one of the things we got to do. We got to spread the word, got to spread the good news. And the good news is one of the things that helps people see the truth. Why do you think they're always trying to silence anything that has to do with God?
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Dad. Thank you.
Okay, so if picture were worth 1,000 words, let's watch.
All right.
Oh, hey, hi, yeah. I'm sorry I'm moving around a little bit. I'm on the elliptical, trying to, burn off some steam here. It's good for your mental health. So, liberals, jot that down. Now, there's a picture behind me. And I want you to look at it. Why is Jose Andres, the chef for the Biden-Harris administration, taking pictures with Ryan Wesley Ralph? If a picture was worth 1,000 words, pick one. And what would it be? Oh, and TikTok? This is all just for educational purposes only. Okay.
Thoughts?
So, rubbing elbows with known people that are important to him. My God, how do you get in those kinds of circles? Isn't that interesting? Yeah, again, feels like a controlled asset. But hey, you get benefits after you turn to the dark side, right? I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So, I mean, there's that. There's all the information about all the stuff he was posting online, recruiting to send people overseas. There's the video where he was doing a video for the Azov battalion. We know those are the Nazis. And then I also know that he was in a video for BlackRock. Isn't that interesting? Both of the assassins were in a BlackRock video. My God, what could we be figuring out with this one? I wonder if there's a connection. So we're finding out information. We're also being set up for which organizations are going to be taken down. Because remember, President Trump went to the World Economic Forum when he first became president, and he did a whole lot of trash talking on the floor of their little party that they were throwing. So I have a feeling that BlackRock has not really been BlackRock for quite some time, and that's going to be one of the things that has already been taken down. We'll find that one out in the future. Aaron says, saw on X that Crooks sent him money too. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. And BlackRock made a statement about that as well. Yes, Jenny, thank you. Yeah, he sent Crooks sent Ralph money. Huh, how about that?
Yeah.
Again, dots are going to connect this information. And I don't know the veracity of all of this information that we're reading here, but none of it would surprise me at this point. So I look forward to finding out the information as more and more people's eyes are trying to connect these dots that are out there. We have everything. We really do. We just need to put it together, and that's going to make the big differences. Chachi says it's almost like this dude Ralph is like that tattooed Capitol Police dude from January 6th. Dudes all over the place taking selfies with a bunch of famous folks. Yeah. Another one. Oh, God. Fanone. Yeah. Fanone was his name.
Yep. You ready?
Uh-huh.
Go ahead and read that. Yellow, please.
The Democrat Party's open border scheme to entrench single-party rule explained in under 2 minutes.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
The Democrat open borders plan to entrench single-party rule, explained in under 2 minutes. 1. Flood the country with untold millions of illegals by land, sea, and air from all over the world, enough to eclipse the populations of 36 individual U.S. states so far. 2. Prioritize the needs of these millions of non-citizens over the needs of the American citizen, with free flights, buses, hotels, meals, and phones, ensuring their loyalty to the political party that imported them. 3. Keep them in the country at all costs, even when they commit violent crime like murder and rape. Attack the language used to describe the criminals, as opposed to the criminals themselves. Slander critics as racist. 4. Ensure their privileges are made irrevocable with city and state sanctuary laws that act as population magnets. Codify permanent status and ensure non-cooperation with ICE. 5. Count the non-citizens in the census that will determine congressional apportionment in the House of Representatives. As of now, that would equal 13 extra congressional districts, a tremendous amount of electoral power. 6. Wage a massive, heavily funded lawfare campaign to change state voting laws that legalize mass mail-in ballots, no signature verification, and no proof of citizenship requirements, making it nearly impossible to prove voter fraud. 7. Lock in the permanent voting majority with campaign promises of lavish benefits and permanent privileges, enshrining generational fealty to the Democrat Party. 8. Win elections. 9. Entrenched single-party rule has been achieved. The best part? Your tax dollars are paying for it.
Okay, they're up and running. So
All right. Here we go. Is he actually talking, or are we still waiting?
nope, still waiting.
Still waiting.
Mhm.
Okay, but the video's up,
Yeah,
or not the
everything's up.
video, but the
The X is up. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, there we go. All right. So in regards to that last video, I heard some interesting things, almost impossible to prove. Now, that's just a small part about okay, so the reason why they pushed all these laws for mail-in ballots and all that other stuff is because it makes it easy to steal an election. And they say it's almost impossible, yet we have video evidence from what Dinesh D'Souza was doing with the 2,000 mules, and then all of the other information that has come out in regards to that, because we also have Mike Lindell. Shout out to Mike Lindell again, because of his work in terms of finding out and communicating the cyber information, how it was moving around the world at that point in time. And that's why Dominion voting machines went after him the way they did, talking about the lawfare campaign. And they were using tax dollars to do this. Now, they say it's almost impossible to catch this stuff, but they were looking for it. They knew what was going to happen. President Trump was in the office when they tried to institute this stuff. So what does that tell me? That tells me that President Trump and the counterintelligence community and whoever else that they were able to pluck and get to be of service in this, that would probably be the white hat officers in the FBI and the white hat officers in CIA. Remember, there's good guys mixed in with the bad guys in these organizations. And I believe that it was a giant sting operation, just like it's been said with Q. It's a giant sting operation. And they caught these people. That's why there were cameras there. That's why Dinesh D'Souza was able to get copies of those cameras to build that understanding of what really happened. So that way, when we come through this, everybody has all of the evidence that they need to be able to do this, and they will recognize when it's presented in a proper order that the conspiracy theorists were the people that were trying to tell the truth the whole time, and it was for their best interest.
Not conspiracy theorists, just telling headlines a couple months before ahead of time.
I very well said. And I think that we will like, this is all being exposed and unfolded in front of our eyes. Let's see, unfold in front of our eyes, so that way we can put it together in an easily, understood format, so by everybody, because of the way they've been dumbing down the Americans. Let's see. God, there was a comment that I had seen. Okay, and it was from Ange. Hang tight, information overload seems to be their tactic, and it stresses me the F out. And you know what? Just saying, I agree. It does stress us out too. It is something stressful, and it does seem like one of their tactics. Their tactics are designed. I mean, think about when all of the trains were crashing, and it wasn't just the trains were crashing. Everything was happening all at once, and we were, I remember, because we were trying to put the information out there as best as we could, and we just couldn't keep up with it. And so we had switched to the 5 days at that point in time, when we were only doing it, like twice a week or so, 3 times a week, maybe at most.
2 to 3 times.
Yeah,
a week.
2 to 3 times a week. So we had to go to, the 5 days a week. And
we could do 5 times a week now. There's so much information going on, but we honestly need the break.
We need the break. We all need the break, because sitting there looking at the news all day, every day, will wear you out.
This show together.
It's a lot to take in, all of this information, because you're having to sit there, you're having to weed through it, it's just an absolute time sponge when we could be doing other things. And when I say we, I'm talking about you as well. I mean, we shouldn't have this be 100% our lives. We should be working on something positive in the world around us, and try to find that balance. So that's just a little recommendation.
Check, just checking that everybody can hear me. Check, 1, 2. May I get some thumbs up for the audience? Before you go, just a quick disclaimer. A few quick reminders before we begin. You should think of our conversation today as a general discussion. You are going to hear from a number of speakers, all with their own opinions that may not necessarily represent the views of others or any organizations with which they are associated. You should understand our speakers have financial interest in some of the items we plan to discuss today and in decentralized finance and digital assets generally. Of course, nothing discussed here today should be deemed technical, legal, financial, or any kind of advice. You should always consult your own expert advisors if you are seeking any advice. To the extent there are discussions about future plans, vision, and other forward-looking information, it is always important to remember that all such forward-looking information and the future generally is subject to change, risk, and uncertainties, which can change current plans and expectations. Now hold on tight, and we'll be with you in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
We know he's always late, but you know, at least they came on. We're in. We have good audio, so everything is going to be good. So I'm thinking maybe 5 minutes.
We'll see how it goes. But we also
Yeah.
have videos we can play, and we'll stop if we're doing anything. Now, with that being said, I kind of wanted to follow up with that. It's something that CNN got us very used to, was the 24-hour news cycle. The fact that you could find out what was going on at any moment in time, and then other channels decided to do their own 24-hour news networks, and Americans, we got addicted to it. And so we need to go back to a more simple way of doing things and letting some of the news unfold, because we recognize that there's really nothing we can do individually at this point in time. And if there's something that requires your individual attention, that you'll probably know when that moment comes. So keep in mind that, go ahead, Kay.
It is the host that is doing the X spaces. He was just letting everyone know that they are getting close to starting and doing a sound check to make sure everyone could hear.
Yeah.
And thank you, Wendy. Yes, please hit that thumbs up, guys. It really helps us with the algorithm and helps us get pushed out to everyone else.
Show enough. And yeah, always helpful. Okay, so trying to fill space here at this point in time.
I have a video.
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and run a video real fast, and if anything comes up, we'll go right back over. This headline, True the Votes, Catherine Engelbrecht says, we have identified 25 million ineligible names on voter rolls. Wow.
Ready?
Surprise. Yep.
It's a huge mess, but we have many more eyes on it now. We have identified, we had a project called IV3 that took a look at the nation's voter rolls. We identified over 25 million ineligible records, and now we're watching to see if those ineligible records go on to cast ballots. That's something that we will immediately report to the proper authorities and to our litigation partners. This is the 1,000-front war. This is not easy, but we must not lose focus. We are winning. Liberty will find a way, but we must stay in the fight. And all of the other propaganda, it's just noise. Focus on the signal. 53 days. Focus on the signal.
Thoughts, sir?
Focus on the signal. And the signal is we got to get out there and vote. And she said that they have all of these things out there. And they have these 25 million names. So they're going to report all of these names that they've already figured out. Guess what? It's no different than a bait card. They're not going to show their hand in terms of who they have as BS voters. They're going to let the people make the mistakes. There will be video cameras available. They will know who these people are, because if I'm not mistaken, a lot of these voting places always have video cameras around all over the place. So that way they know who's doing what. They've been using it against us. Finally, they're going to be using it against them. And I think that that's the thing that's going to be another one of those traps that they're just waiting to be sprung. She said that it's a 1,000-front war. It is a 1,000-front war. And that's kind of what we were just getting at from a different direction is that they're trying to overload us with the news. Well, part of the thing is okay, hold on. I don't know if that's coming up for y'all or not.
It should.
Many in the crypto community will agree with me when I say that we're here with you, Mr. President, during these trying times. Your unwavering support for our community has not gone unnoticed, and we're immensely grateful for it. And really, the fact that after all of this, you've chosen to proceed with this interview blows my mind. It speaks volume, Mr. President, and thank you for being here tonight.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate the remarks. It was quite something, but it worked out well, and Secret Service did an excellent job. And they have the man behind bars, and hopefully he's going to be there for a long time. Dangerous person, very, very dangerous person. But I appreciate the comments very much.
Well, I appreciate you for allowing me to interview you in your wonderful Mar-a-Lago home, which is truly an honor, and I'm very grateful for it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, Mr. President, I can say that myself, like I was saying, the crypto community and millions of Americans are relieved that you're here with us today after the second attempt on your life at the Trump National Golf Club. It's just horrifying. Can you run us through what happened?
So I was playing golf with some of my friends. It was on a Sunday morning, and very peaceful, very beautiful weather. Everything was beautiful. It was a nice place to be. And all of a sudden we heard shots being fired in the air, and I guess probably 4 or 5. And it sounded like bullets, but what do I know about that? But Secret Service knew immediately it was bullets. And they grabbed me, and I think probably the other one, Steve is one of the people, Steve Woodcuff, a great friend of mine, a great businessman from mostly New York and Florida, great businessman. And more importantly, just a fantastic person. So we're in the group, and everybody we got into the carts and we moved along pretty good. I was with an agent, and the agent did a fantastic job. There was no question that we were off that course. I would have loved to have sank that last putt, but we decided, well, let's get out of here. And what the gunfire was actually, interestingly, was a Secret Service agent had seen a barrel of a AK-47, which is a very powerful rifle. And he started shooting at the barrel, started shooting in the bushes.
Wow.
Could only see the barrel. How good is that, right? But could only see the barrel. Based on that, he started shooting and ran toward the target and was shooting a lot of, those were the shots we heard. The other one never got a shot off. And he ran across the street and grabbed his car, hopped into his truck or car. And amazingly, a civilian in that area saw something and it looked very suspicious. And in the car, drove their car to the back of his truck of some kind and took pictures of the license plate, gave them to the sheriff's office. Sheriff Bradshaw is fantastic, very great sheriff for a long time. And within a fairly short period of time, they tracked him down on the highway. It was a pretty high-speed chase. And they ended up getting him. They got him. Because you wouldn't want to have somebody like that out there. No. He dropped his gun, the AK-47. He left his gun. He left cameras behind, left a lot of things behind. So the agent did a fantastic job. The civilian did a phenomenal job. A woman. Who would think you could take 1,000 times like that? How many people would have the brain power to follow him and take pictures of the back of his truck so that they end up getting, and the key was the license. So they got the license, and after they had the license, there's all sorts of technology where they can literally pinpoint where this truck is. I never knew something like that existed. And they pinpointed him on the highway. They got him with a high-speed chase. So they got him. it was amazing. So Secret Service did a great job. And I think I can say honestly, the sheriff's office, law enforcement, everybody really did a great job. Very
Incredible.
happy about that.
That's incredible to hear.
Thank you.
And backup question to that second fold is, this was the second attempt in your life in under 2 months. What do you make of that?
Well, there's a lot of rhetoric going on.
Right.
A lot of people think that the Democrats, when they talk about threat to democracy and all of this, and it seems that both of these people were radical lefts. The first one, they should learn more about. They have apps that they haven't opened yet, which is pretty strange. And the father went out and got the biggest lawyer in the state of Pennsylvania, which is pretty strange, about the father of the shooter we're talking about in Butler, the first one. And that's pretty strange. There are a couple of pretty strange things going on there. I can say this, the Secret Service was very brave in the sense that bullets were flying, and when I went down, I purposely went down, I saw what was happening, and people are probably screaming. I'm not sure if I recognize that, but I went down, and Secret Service, they were right there with bullets flying right at them, and they weren't hit, but 3 other people were, Corey, a firefighter, and 2 other gentlemen who they thought died. And actually the doctors in Butler were unbelievable. They saved their lives. And we've actually raised a lot of money for the families and family of Corey and the 2 gentlemen. And they both lived. They thought they were dead. The first thing I asked when I came up, I said, how many people are dead? Because we had a massive crowd. And with all those bullets flying, so 3 got hit. But there was a great display of bravery. I mean, it was incredible. Normally, the crowd experts will tell you when they hear bullets, and we heard a lot of bullets going off.
Right.
A crowd this was a massive crowd. You couldn't even see the end of it in a big field. And that the crowd always runs. They call it a stampede, like cattle. I mean, they stampede, and a lot of people get killed when they stampede, but they hear bullets, but nobody ran.
They all stayed.
Tens of thousands of people. Nobody ran. In fact, you can see it in the small group behind me. There was a group of probably a couple of hundred people behind me, and nobody ran. In fact, they're standing up. Some of them are standing up looking for the shooter. The other one has to get credit to local law enforcement. There's a gentleman that shimmied up to the roof, saw the man with a gun, and probably made him go faster than he would normally go. And so he didn't exactly hit the target the way he wanted. There's something going on. I mean, perhaps it's God wanting me to be president to save this country. Nobody knows, but when I made the right turn, it's very unusual because the people weren't on the right. The people were standing out in front of me. When I turned my head at an exact 90-degree angle, the bullet came zooming by and clipped my ear. And the reason so much blood, they told me at the hospital, I said, why so much? The ear is the bloodiest part of the body because of cartilage. He was giving me a whole description. I said, you don't have to tell me, but it was a mess. But amazing bravery shown, amazing talent, like the doctor saving the two men that were hit. They were hit really badly. I won't tell you exactly what happened. They were hit badly. And they both lived. Corey didn't make it. Corey was in bad shape. We had a person from the National Guard about 10 seats over from Corey run to his aid, and he was hit in the head, with all of that, was giving him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation because he was still alive.
Wow.
And people couldn't believe it. They thought it was such an incredible act. Who would do it? It would, just an amazing thing. And we're going to take care of him too, because just the fact that he could do it, and some other people. So it was amazing bravery, and there was a mistake made, a bad mistake. That one building was unmanned on top.
Very.
And that was a mistake. There's nothing you can say about it. But that was some crazy day. And then yesterday you had another one with a different result. Actually, much better result, because we lost Corey, and two gentlemen were very badly hurt, but they're in pretty good shape now.
Right.
A lot of talent. Those local doctors up there had tremendous talent.
Love to hear that. Well, this is more of a personal question.
Okay.
Just turned 30 last week. We were just chit-chatting outside the room here. Young entrepreneur, son, aspiring father one day.
Mm-hmm.
With all of your success, you have a wonderful family. A couple of your sons are actually looking at us right now. You have a wonderful business for yourself, a wonderful life for yourself. You know, you could be on the golf course without worrying about gunmen coming at you. But after multiple attempts at your life, you're still here. You've already been president of the United States of America once. You're about to be president of the United States of America again.
I hope so.
We hope so. Why do you do this? What motivates you?
So we have a country that's in trouble, a country that I love. I love the people of this country, people like Corey, who were just this massive Trump fan and he got hit. But people like that, they're in love with the country and they hate seeing what's happened to the country when you have 21 million people pouring in from all countries all over the world, from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums. Insane asylums, and you know, they are different. Even prisons and jails, they are different. One's a little more severe than the next. They're coming in as terrorists, and they're coming into our country at levels that nobody's ever seen, and they're taking over our towns, and they're taking over small cities and big cities. I mean, look at New York, look at Chicago, look at LA. Tens of thousands of these people, and they're rough people in many cases. I mean, they are rough, tough people. Venezuela gangs. If you look at Aurora in Colorado, you have a governor that doesn't know what he's doing. He's petrified to be there. He doesn't know what to say. I mean, they're literally taking over real estate. They're becoming real estate developers in a much different way, right? They're taking over buildings. Everyone's afraid of them. And they have a big AK, talking about AK-47s. That's what they have. They carry massive guns. You say, where would they get this kind of power? And they're vicious people. They're gang members from Venezuela, largely, and known as being one of the roughest gangs anywhere in the world. You have MS-13, which is a bad gang, and you have these guys. And we're going to clean them out. We're going to get them out. But the bottom line, just to answer it quickly, I love the country. We're going to make America great again, and we'll be able to do it. We did it once, and we'll do it again, and much easier this time. The border is in much worse shape than it's ever been. This is the worst border there's ever been in any country. They have not done the job that they have to do. I mean, you have Kamala, she was the border czar. I call her the comrade because she's a Marxist. She wants to tax everybody out of business. She wants to raise taxes to 70, 80%. She wants an unrealized capital gain tax, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard. Nobody's ever even heard of such a thing. And they'll put everybody out of business. We'll end up in a depression if she gets in. And very simply, though, we're going to make America great again, greater than ever before. And I love doing it.
Being from Canada, I can probably relate to what that means.
Yeah. We've got some problems.
A crypto entrepreneur based in Montreal here. So it's, it's not always the best feeling as someone who's trying to build something out of, nothing here. Speaking of which, I'm wondering now, I know this is quite different, right? But I know many people in crypto feel this way as we're trying to change the financial system. Quite literally, we're trying to change things and make a difference, but it always feels like there's some sort of a force against us. In your case, do you feel similarly that there's a force out there to get you?
Well, you have a radical left force, and we have forces, I say that we have a lot of evil in the world. The world is a nasty place, and you can see that with some of the things that have happened. We've been treated, I think, very unfairly, but I've done so well. It's an amazing country in some ways, but we have evil forces. You have the outside forces with the enemies, and you call them Russia, China, various places. I don't know that they're enemies. I think we'll get along great with China. I think we'll get along great with Russia. I want to get Russia to settle up with Ukraine and stop this. Millions of people being killed, far greater than the number you read about. But I want to get that done before I even take office. I want to get that done as president-elect because it has to be solved. Too many people dying. Too many cities are just in rubble right now. You look at the culture is just being destroyed. Mm-hmm. We got to get that done, and I'll get it done. There wouldn't have been an October 7th. There wouldn't have been Russia attacking Ukraine. There wouldn't be inflation. All this inflation, which has hurt people so badly. You wouldn't have had that horrible type of withdrawal. We were getting out of Afghanistan, but with dignity and strength. That was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And frankly, Russia would have never gone into Ukraine if it weren't for that. They looked at that and they said, this country is no longer run by Trump. This country is run by stupid people. And We have a great military. You know, I took out ISIS in 4 weeks, and everyone said it was going to take 4 or 5 years. I took them out in 4. Our military is great, but you have to have the right leadership running it. So the bottom line is that it can be nasty, but it's only going to get worse. If I don't win, it's only going to get worse. It's going to get really bad. We'll end up being Venezuela on steroids. We'll end up in 1929 type depressions. And we have to make sure that this person doesn't get in. This is far worse than Biden. You know, that was if you think of it, that was an overthrow of a president. He won. He had 14 million votes. He had no votes. Crazy Nancy Pelosi walked in, and some of the others, and they said, "We want you out." He said, "I'm not going to get out. I want to run." I was leading him by a lot after the debate, but still he had the right to run. And they literally, it was a coup in the truest sense. This was the first coup of an American president. And I think it's, you know, look, I don't say fair or not fair. He was very nice today. He called up to make sure I was okay, to make sure that, you know, do I have any suggestions or anything? We do need more people on my detail because we have 50, 60,000 people showing up to events, and you know, other people don't have that. But he couldn't have been nicer. But I thought he was treated really unfairly. He went through a primary system, he won, and then they threw him overboard. And she got no votes. You know, she got no votes. But she'd be very bad for the country. We have to save our country. We can't play games, and we can't have a Marxist communist president, because that's not what it's all about. So we're going to do it, and we're going to make our country greater than ever before, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to love your crypto. And as long as you have crypto, you're happy. So I know what makes you happy. Nothing else but crypto.
Yeah, I mean, you know, when the Twitter Spaces was officially announced and that you put the tweet out, a lot of people were like, "Well, who's this Farouk guy?" And obviously, you know, a lot of people started digging into this Farouk guy, and you know, the main reply that was that I'm just this crypto bro. But you know what, Mr. President, I am a proud crypto bro. You know, and it seems like you're starting to become one of us, if not already. I know for a fact that your children are quite involved in the space. I mean, we have Baron, Don Jr., and Eric on the Twitter Spaces right now. Eric and Don Jr. here, who will be joining us a little later on this programming. But you know, getting into crypto now, because I already see the people on Twitter Spaces really eager to hear you talk about this. You know, at the recent Bitcoin conference, you mentioned that, and I quote, "America should be the crypto capital of the world."
Yeah.
That was a big statement, and I believe the correct one. So why is it not right now?
Well, I think it will be right now. Right now, you have a very hostile SEC. I guess you'd have to say, I don't know, when you say administration, do you call it Biden or do you call it Harris? Nobody really knows what to call it, but maybe we'll say a combination of both. But they've been very hostile toward crypto, toward all of it, and extremely hostile, like nobody can believe. Nobody even understands why. My attitude is different. If we don't do it, China's going to do it. China's doing it anyway.
They are.
But if we don't do it, we're not going to be the biggest, and we have to be the biggest and the best. And you know, when you look at values, and when you add it all up, the value of this whole thing is bigger than they were showing me. Your top 20 corporations and all of this, the numbers are just gigantic. It suffers from some credibility lapses. I mean, some things were done or not done, but it's very young and very growing. And if we don't do it, China's going to do it. If we don't do it, other countries are going to do it. A lot of countries would like to be in a position. We have the advantage because it's us. But you have a big advantage because it's me, because I do believe in it. I also know a lot of friends that are really into it. And my kids, I mean, Baron knows so much about this.
Right.
Eric, and Baron's a young guy, but he knows it. He talks about his wallet. He's got 4 wallets or something. And I'm saying, what is a wallet? Explain this to me. But he knows this stuff inside out. And Eric and Don know it so well.
They do.
It's almost like younger people know it a lot better than older people. But I have a lot of respect for them. They've shown great judgment, all of them. And I think you're onto something. You're onto it a lot sooner than most people. You know, it's sort of like it's a fledgling business, and yet it's a massive business, but it has a chance to really be something special. And when I do things, I notice a lot of crypto comes in. People pay with crypto.
Oh, yeah.
And you didn't see that even a year ago, 2 years ago. So I think it's big, and yet it's a fledgling compared to what it will be.
And I love that you're mentioning your children and how Barron is using his wallet. Similar to me, I'm trying to teach my mother how to use it. I send her one ETH every Christmas, one ETH every birthday, and same for my little Zoomer brother who probably isn't Barron's age category. So, has learning about crypto from your children had an impact on you?
Well, it makes it easier, and it's sort of like a language. I have a beautiful granddaughter, Ivanka's daughter, and she is Arabella. She speaks perfect Chinese.
Wow.
And their other two children, two great young boys, they speak perfect Chinese. They learned it when
Wow.
they were 2 and 3 and 4 from a nanny who was Chinese.
That's impressive.
And she was from China. And she would teach Arabella. When President Xi was here, President Xi couldn't believe it. She walked up to him and had a perfect conversation. And I said, so how did she do? He said, as good as any 10-year-old girl in Beijing. I remember that statement. I mean, she speaks it perfectly, but she learned it at a very young age.
Wow.
If you're going to learn, if it's China or Japan or any language,
right.
It's not that easy to do.
No.
But as a child, it's almost like a natural. So it's a little bit like that, I think, with crypto. Now, I think crypto is a lot easier,
right,
if you want to know. But there is a learning curve. And yeah, my kids really understood it, and they understood it pretty much right at the beginning.
Yeah, we were chatting with Eric in the back, and I was like, "Whoa, okay, this is really awesome."
He knows. Yeah.
Oh, we're about to hear all about your son's crypto endeavors and how much they know about it, which is really cool. I just came back from Asia. I was at the Korea Blockchain Week and at WebEx in Japan, and over there, and at the moment, everybody's in Singapore tuning live to listen to us live on Spaces for Token 2049. What's impressive in the East is that crypto is not the future; it's the present. Whereas when I come here and in Canada and North, it feels like I'm being taken aback. So the question I have for you, following up on what I was asking earlier, is why is it so important for America to lead in cryptocurrency adoption and innovation?
Well, it's crypto, it's AI, it's so many other things. AI, speaking of an interesting future, it needs tremendous electricity capability beyond anything I've ever heard. It never made sense to me, but this is what it needs. If you take all of the electricity coming out of the US, in order to be dominant in AI, you need twice that amount just for this one thing. Who would think that? You need twice the electricity we already have. And you got to get started. I mean, you have to be, if you're the US, you have to get started.
Right.
You don't want to be left in the dust. And China's already building electric plants, and they want to build them for the AI, and it's very important. But you need tremendous electric, and in this country, because of our strong environmental impact statement problems that we have, China doesn't have those problems. They don't do them. They just build. They said, build over here, build over there. With us, you have to go through years. But I'll make it possible to create tremendous amounts of electricity very rapidly. But people don't know that. People don't know that you need double the electricity of what we already have. So you want to get in, whether it's crypto or AI or other things that are coming along, and it's part of the game. We want to have a great country. We want to stay at the top. We're making things now. We're starting, and it started under my administration, that there was no chance of ever even getting involved in for a long time.
Right.
And we're leading the pack in so many ways. One of the things I'm very proud of is Space Force. We were getting lapped in space by China and by Russia. And now we are the leader in space. And I have to tell you, Elon is doing a fantastic job. He's my friend. He endorsed me for president, so strongly. It was incredible. But he is doing an amazing job with respect to space. When you look up, I think somebody said he sends 90% of the rockets sent up throughout the world are his.
Wow.
And you got to hand it to him. He's something.
He definitely is. Wish he was here, but at least we're using his. We'll get him. We're definitely using his platform to do so, and I'm sure there's a reason for that. So, to create this future we're talking about, right? There's a lot of American entrepreneurs, founders in crypto that need to sadly leave the country because it feels like at times we're being treated like we're not really welcome to build companies here. The CEO of our company over at Rug Radio was actually debanked earlier last year, but we'll get into that later. Do you think it's important for America to have a legal framework for crypto so that businesses can thrive and survive here?
I do. And they should have certain safeguards too. Maybe somebody would say that's a bad thing to say, but no, it can't be totally freewheeling. And I spoke to some of the big crypto people, they want safeguards, they want certain safeguards, but it's a very hostile environment right now. From what I understand, the SEC has been extremely hostile and really going after people. And I think, frankly, since they heard I was involved, they've treated people much better. Maybe they view it as votes. But people that were under serious investigation for having done nothing wrong are all of a sudden allowed to go free. And I really believe that's because they see, this is a very big market. This is a very powerful market.
Very.
So I'm glad I helped. If I helped, I don't know, maybe I didn't. But the SEC has been unbelievably hostile. The one thing is that if for some reason bad things happen and we don't win the election, those people that were under investigation and that are free as a bird right now, and people that weren't being looked at in the crypto world, they will be living in hell, because it'll start the day after the election if they win. And I view it differently. I mean, I just view it that we have to be the top no matter what we do.
Right.
Chips or anything else, we were really starting to go with the chips. We have to be number one. And I think AI is really important, but I think crypto's one of those things we have to do. Whether we like it or not, we have to do it.
It's really, really cool to hear it from you in person. We've only heard it on TV, in newspaper, etc. But it feels good to know that a presidential candidate and someone who is already president of the United States of America feel this way about cryptocurrency. I'm sure myself and a lot of people in the industry are relieved to hear that. And I will see what the results are in November. But on something a little lighter now, I remember the day your NFT collections came out. That was super cool. So I host a morning show called FOMO Hour with my friend OSF and Mando and now Tyler. And so we were live on air when the link dropped. And so it was the very, very first collection. There was a chance to have dinner with you. And I remember just like scrambling to buy them. We're staying live. We stopped the show live on air to thousands of people like, oh, we got to buy these. We're going to buy these. I got to spend $25K on this. Let's go. Right. Let's do it. Which is another cool thing about people in crypto, right? Or there's crypto bros that they call. And so we're trying to buy these things. And it was just so electric and crazy that we actually failed. But hey, I guess that's a good thing because the collection, ended up selling out. And then you ended up doing, I believe, you ended up doing that 3 times over. Can you tell us more about the success that you have had with NFTs, but also did that surprise you?
Well, I got in very late and NFT was considered cold. I mean, to be honest, it was a cold industry. It had its day a few years before, as you probably know. But when I did it, I said, what do we have to do with anything else? And it's playing cards and some beautiful artwork and other things. And we went out with 45,000 NFTs, and it was amazing. We thought it would take 6 months, maybe a year to sell. It sold out. I don't want to get myself in trouble by saying exactly the first day, but pretty close to it. It was almost immediately.
It was quick.
Yeah.
We failed every transaction.
Right. Almost immediately. And then we did a second one likewise. And then we did a third one. And then we just did a fourth one. And I asked the people from the first 3, I said, well, do you want to have us do? Because, they have they have very big pride to start off with. But I said, are you going to, if we do a fourth one, does that affect you and the ones you already own? Because some people bought a lot of them. Some people bought one. And they're all very happy, really happy. I said, does it affect you? And everybody, it was like sort of a phone poll, just like, and everybody wanted the fourth one, which surprised me because you would think they wouldn't want the fourth one because maybe it waters down their own pieces that they have. And they did. They wanted it and they wanted it badly. So we did a fourth and just did it recently. And I think it's just about gone. It's amazing. And one of the things I know, the crypto played a big role because they paid.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we're not getting checks with dollars. We're getting crypto.
It's instant.
Instantly. Yeah. It's been, and that taught me a little bit about what you love. It taught me something that was incredible. We did the NFTs. It was so cool. People said, don't do it. Don't do it. You're not going to.
I'm sure.
And we did it and it sold. Literally, we had anywhere from 6 months to a year. And I think we did it in a day or something.
So it was
that. Right?
It was quick.
Yeah.
It was quick. And you know what? It was fun.
It was
That's
fun.
what it was.
It is fun.
It was a lot of fun. So I'm aware that you probably have a million things to get to. So I kind of want to finish off with a couple more questions for you, Mr. President. So first and foremost, were the NFTs a big part of the story, of your story, of how you came to see the value in digital assets?
A little bit, because so many people paid this way. If they didn't, if they would have been paying in dollars, I would have said, that's standard. I would have assumed. And I was blown away. I wasn't overly interested in it, to be honest, but I did ask, like, what percentage was taken between Bitcoin and all of the other things, but through crypto, and it was a massive majority, and I was a little surprised by that. And that was a while ago now, and it opened my eyes. But I think my children opened my eyes more than anything else.
Wow.
And plus, I have a friend on my right who's a very smart guy, and he's not quite as young as his fantastic son, who we were dealing with, Alex, and all of them. But he knows a lot about this stuff for a man of his age. He's still pretty young, but for a man of his age, Steve Witkoff knows a lot about this.
He definitely does. And he's sitting on your right. We're about to get to Steve Witkoff. And for everybody in the audience right now, if you're listening to us live, hang tight. I have one more question for Mr. President, and then we're going to be joined by Don Jr., Eric Trump, and the World Liberty Financial teams, and Corey and everybody, the advisors around it. So we have quite the programming for you. But Mr. President, one last question that you may or may not have answered with your last answer here is, so if there was one thing that got you to see crypto differently, what was it?
If it was what?
One thing that got you to see crypto differently. What was it?
Well, maybe the NFTs. You sort of brought that up, because I was surprised again at the percentage of them that were sold through that form. You could do a new form of currency. You could call it anything you want, but that was. I think it was also the level of enthusiasm that my young sons have for this. Pretty young guys. I mean, one's extremely young and two are pretty young, right? But the level of enthusiasm they have for crypto.
Yeah.
And also, just to add a third element, I have a lot of friends, very smart people, some very smart people, and they're believers. So it means something to me.
Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. Everybody hang tight, please. I will go to Mr. Witkoff in a second, and we'll be joining by the next set of guests. But Mr. President, it's an honor. Thank you for having me. And honestly, the fact that you've done this the day after a second assassination attempt means the world to me. Just a little 30-year-old boy from Montreal that, started from just hosting Twitter Spaces, now hosting yourself. So thank you for allowing me to do so.
Great job. Great job. Thank you very much.
Everybody hang tight. We'll be right back.
All right. So there was a lot of crypto talk about that. And if y'all are following in the comments at all, and I think I posted that up, I'm not personally a fan of crypto. It's one of those things. They can't even maintain the roads. What makes you think they can maintain the electrical grid? That part of the infrastructure. Obviously, it's maintained enough for us to keep electricity, but California can't even keep their electricity on if it gets too hot outside because of whatever else California's got going on.
We had rolling brownouts all the time.
And that was before any of the madness of like all of the electric cars. And now they're telling you have to have an electric car. The grid can't handle that. It'll absolutely collapse and drive up the price of electricity throughout the entire nation. There will be brownouts just to keep the cars on sitting on the LA freeway as people, sit there for hours on end each and every day to get through traffic so they can get to their slave job and get their slave pay and go back home and try to go get another job just so they can keep a house. I just don't personally believe in the efficacy of it. And it would also require the government to get involved in creating their own cryptocurrency. I think individuals and organizations can come up with their own thing like Bitcoin, even though we know that that's probably a CIA thing. Once you really start looking into Bitcoin, I don't believe in the system. I believe in something tangible. I believe in something that you can literally hold because it's real. It's there, and it can't just instantly disappear as long as the power's off. I mean, I think it's great, but how are you going to hold up your cell phone and say, well, I have Bitcoin, but it's like, well, what do you want from me? I can't use your phone. I don't want it. That's not going to help me put food on the table. That's my own personal opinions. I know that a lot of people have faith in it and that it's popular.
And
and do what you want. Just not for me.
We are back over here. That was quite a great interview with President Trump, wasn't it, everyone?
Yeah.
There you go. Rick got this room packed with people. Everybody's still here. Hang tight. Don't leave. Keep sharing. I want to see those retweets because the State of the Crypto address at Mar-a-Lago is still on over here. I have Steve Witkoff on my right, who has to run, to Fox, right?
Fox.
Is that where you're headed next, Hannity? All right. I got the opener for Hannity. That's pretty cool. That's not bad, right? That's like opening for like Led Zeppelin or something. I don't know. So Steve, I'm just gonna go chat with you real quick, and then we'll get to our other guests. First and foremost, you were with President Trump yesterday on the golf course.
Yeah.
As he was trying to sink that last putt, as President Trump was saying. But how do you feel?
I feel blessed that I was out there because I got to see what he has to live his daily life like. 2 assassination attempts in the last 2 months. He's been conspired against. He's been vilified. He ought to be commended for his 4 years of public service as a president. And I was glad I could be out there and see what it was about for him. He was as courageous a man he is as courageous a man as I've ever seen. He cared about his friends first. He asked about his friends first. And it was inspiring to watch him.
Yeah, thank you for
And the Secret Service, I would echo what he said.
Right.
They were incredible. They put their lives on the line for him.
Wow. It's incredible that he's just back up today and just
It's who he
throwing his
is.
circuit.
He's resilient. He's stoic. And
Very.
who wouldn't want those qualities in a leader? He is a natural born leader.
So to go back now to what we're here to talk about, and we're going to get in the weeds of it a little more. So how did this collaboration happen? I know it's an incredible story. Could you walk me through it?
My son introduced me to two partners, Chase Hero and Zach Folkman, who are exceptionally bright people. They look a little different than us because they dress a little different than us because that's the crypto
A few more
world.
tattoos.
Right? I have 1 or 2 tattoos, but
Oh, really?
Chase
Really?
has, yeah, I have it's hard to see here.
That's okay.
But I have a tattoo of my son who I lost, Andrew. Both of my tattoos are of him. I actually think he's the one who put me out with the president yesterday, so I could witness his courage and talk about him to the American public. But I was introduced to Chase and to Zach, and I met traders from all over the world. And these guys are as smart as any currency traders I've ever met. And they began talking to me about decentralized finance, which means frictionless finance, and why it made sense for people, and about the forgotten who can't get credit out there. Credit is what drives the American economy. And as I began to understand it, I said, who would understand this better than the Trump family? And so we had a meeting initially with Eric, Don Jr., and the president and his counsel. And we said, let's go pursue it. We've been on it for close to 9 months, spent a lot of time on diligence with really, really good lawyers on how to operate in the space.
Right.
And here we are today, the culmination of a pretty robust effort.
So do you think that this could really change the way wealth is created in America?
I think decentralized finance is the way of the future.
Right.
If you think about the fact that if you want to borrow money today, you have to be almost anointed. You have to be a member of the privileged class. I remember when I
Ain't that
left
the
law, I
truth?
represented the president. I wanted to be in business. It was very, very hard to get credit, and credit again is what drives us. Crypto allows it to happen. Decentralized finance as an application of crypto allows it to happen. So, and we see as a business venture, a huge approachable class of people who have been either debanked, as you talked about, or they don't have a bank that they can go to, and they don't have a bank that will listen to them. So we look at it as a business venture, and we say we can democratize it. We can be more egalitarian about it. And at the same time, we can probably do very well in it because there is a large group of people who can't gain credit in the system. And isn't that unfortunate that young people with great ideas, they can't prosecute those ideas? That's a terrible thing. That's not a good thing. That's not the American dream.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Witkoff, for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your insight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And so up next, of course, I mean, Don Jr., if you want to, however you guys want to set up here, you know, we got a whole programming for y'all here. So really hang tight. We're filming the whole thing. Everything's going to be broadcasted live a little later on video as well. Everybody's looking great over here.
That's most important, right? As
Right,
long
that's
as we
the most
look good. I
important.
mean, I'm liking your hair, the flow.
Thank you.
It's pretty solid.
There was some polls going online around like who's got better hair, would it be President Trump or myself? I think your father has an incredible flow. I have to give it to him.
Listen, as a Trump who may or may not one day inherit the Trump hair genes, I don't make fun. I don't mock it because you never know. One day I could wait. So far I'm 46. I'm doing pretty good on the hair department.
No
yeah,
way.
I'm an old man.
There's no chance.
Yeah, look at that white in the beard. You know, still haven't had the white in the hair, and I'm not vain enough to dye it. So we're good so far.
Well, you're gonna have to share your secrets with us maybe after the stream, you know, because I'm getting old. My knees are hurting from being 30 years old.
Yeah,
you know?
it's
So-
rough. It gets a lot worse, but I promise you. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
This thing I miss most about youth is just not waking up sore every day for no reason whatsoever. It's yeah.
Oh my. Anyway, so let's get right into this. I mean, Don, you know, your traditional banking systems, you know, have not been working for many Americans. This is something that you speak about a lot. It's something that Mr. Witkoff talked about, and that your father talks about, and all of you at this stage. You know, I talked earlier about how my company's been debanked. You know, my CEO has been debanked, and he's an American citizen from Texas. Got a call one day and said, "Hey, come pick up your money, and we're gonna send it to you by the mail. Here's a check." Said, "No. I'm gonna come pick it up." To me, it was insane that this is even an option, and we're talking about someone who has some money, right? And so I know your family is very familiar with being debanked. So how does DeFi fix these problems?
Well, listen, I mean, I think, you know, I was probably a late adapter into some of, you know, these technologies in the sense that, you know, I was a traditional real estate guy. We were bricks and mortar. And, you know, there was a time period where, you know, the Trumps, we could have picked up the phone and called any CEO of any bank and gotten a loan from anyone in the world on any project and, you know, low LTVs and everything like that. Then we got into the political arena and like that, it was turned off. I mean, it wasn't that we didn't have incredible balance sheets. It wasn't that we didn't have, you know, the reserves. I mean, you know, I've had it for some of my personal businesses. Same story as your partner. I mean, you know, I had an operating business with a partner, and he calls me one morning. It happened to be the day of like CPAC, you know, 2 years ago, and he calls me. He's like, "Our operating account has no money in it. I think we got hacked." Like, what do you mean we got hacked? It's like it was PNC Bank. I mean, this is a major bank, and whatever it is, this is a legit business with, you know, small business. It was a little media company just to sort of aggregate news that was not being shown to people otherwise. And he calls the bank like, "Listen, I think we got hacked." "Oh, no, you weren't hacked. We just don't want to do business with you." They didn't. They broke up with us by mail. They didn't even call us. Like, we didn't even get the call. They just like, "Oh yeah, there's a cashier's check. You'll have it in the mail in a couple of days." But we got an operating business. We got payroll. We got what are you talking about? So, you know, we went from being able to pick up the phone to anyone to having the same thing happen. We've had family members that have had, you know, 7-figure accounts with specific banks. Be like, "Well, I just want to use some of that money to get a home loan for this. Will you write the rest of the loan?" "No, that's too risky for us." It's like, we have more money in the account than the value of the home. What are you talking about? It's too risky. But, you know, so, you know, it's interesting because we went from being sort of, you know, people that would have been, you know, the elite in that world to just being like totally canceled. And it changed our perspective so much. I think we understand what so many Americans are going through. And when you really look at America and our foundation, the way our founding fathers set everything up, you know, I think DeFi would be what they would envision, not, you know, a broken, bureaucratized system where, you know, a bunch of middlemen are getting pieces and VIGs for doing nothing, for pushing paper, which creates not just sort of a lot of waste and inefficiency, but, you know, really has become a politicized process. And we see that. And again, that only goes one way. you can say that I'm, this incredible radical, but I get called that all the time. I mean, I don't know. I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I have a pretty good finance background. We built and changed the skyline of New York as a family and some cities in the world. I think first time I got invited back to speak at Wharton I was like 28 years old. I didn't know anything probably by then. I still didn't know anything. I'll say that for the record, but I think we've learned a lot since then. And now, that same access isn't available to us. So for me, and so much of what we've done, and really so much of what's been, a part of our political journey is that, creating actual fairness in these systems that have been, truly bastardized and politicized. I mean, we witnessed it firsthand because it's like you had whatever you wanted and that was just ripped away from us in an instant. And, we're a family that we're blessed to have the means to be able to do a lot of things. We're blessed to be able to have, for someone who doesn't have that power or the soapbox or the balance sheet, what do they do? How do they finance it? And so it's a real problem that needed to be addressed. And honestly, I think this is the way. This is the way of the future. This is the way to eliminate that efficiency. A lot of it being peer-to-peer and not going through the usual bureaucratized system. So I think everything that's been talked about right now is so important. But for me, this is about how we save so much of what I believe our founding fathers really intended for our country.
So I was going to ask you something that you answered. I was going to ask you, has banking become political in the USA? Clearly, it seems that you seem to think
not seems. It is.
It is.
It has become politicized. You can look at that, whether it's, spreads, whether it's rates, who can get what. That's been going on for a long time. And, it's sad and it's disgusting.
So I was going to ask you if it affects the everyday American, which you did. You get into that already.
Yeah.
So then the question is, if this all affects the everyday American, to me, cryptocurrency is freedom.
Yeah.
This is why I do what I do.
Correct.
I own my money on my ledger. Nobody can take it away from me.
Correct.
So how does DeFi help the everyday American?
Well, listen, I think it takes, that political, component out of it. I mean, and you see that, right? I mean, if you look at, the leading edge of Silicon Valley and the people doing these things, these are longtime Democrat donors that have come over and flipped sides because the Democrat Party itself isn't willing to give up the power and that control that they want over everyone's balance sheet, over their banking, over these systems. They see crypto as a threat, to the political power that they've built. And I mean, that's why, again, not necessarily, I'm not talking about the minions, they all work there, they're going to be woke and whatever that is. But if you look at a lot of the leaders in Silicon Valley, whether it's VC or otherwise, they're flipping sides because they understand that they are for that freedom. That freedom has allowed them to live that American dream. That's allowed them to do these things. And I think that's a real threat politically from the other side right now. And so it's been interesting to watch that transformation. But I think, this ability for everyone to have that, clean start, no politicization, I think that's everything. And I can say that as someone who's been, still blessed, but still incredibly impacted. I can only imagine how much more difficult it is for someone that doesn't have sort of, let's call it the natural head start that we have, having worked as a family business for 40 something years.
Right. So I know many people in crypto, right, who may not have supported your father before, that have flipped camp, right? Recognize the benefits of his leadership now. And maybe that'll even change after tonight's address, especially with his strong stance on crypto, which is quite positive. Why do you think this is happening now? And what message do you have for people who weren't in your camp before, but might be considering joining it because of how open you are to tech and innovation?
Well, listen, I think the facts speaks for themselves, right? If you're looking at it just purely from a political standpoint, I mean, the Republican Party, the conservative side of things are clearly the people that are okay with said freedom, right? The other side, and I don't want to make it just political because it's not. I mean, it's finance, but ultimately, your balance sheet, your ability to transact in these things, will be affected by politics, right? One side is the side of censorship. They're the side that wants to jail their political opponents. They want to overregulate everything so much that you actually eliminate so many of the natural and great things that people love about crypto. I do think, as to what my father was saying earlier, people want a framework. They want some regulation. We've been on this journey now for 9 months-ish.
Yeah.
And we could talk to a lawyer, be like, hey, this is the trend. Well, we don't know. Is it this or is it that? What's the safe bet? And there's still a lot of ambiguity out there. I think people do need an understanding and a framework, but they don't want such a framework that it's so overregulated, so overcontrolled that you actually just end up in, a digitized version of what we have today with all of the problems, all of the bureaucracy, all of the waste, and all of the inefficiency. And so, I think, if you're thinking about these things, if you're thinking about your financial security and that ability to transact freely, like, honestly, is that even, it's sort of a no-brainer at this point. I mean, people are not, they're not hiding their thoughts. That I get it. It's probably that people are going to tell you what they want to hear right now to get elected, and they'll change. We've seen a long history of that, but they're basically saying the quiet parts out loud as it relates to overregulation. You saw what my father did in his first administration as it relates to cutting regulation, the excessive bureaucracy, eliminating a lot of that red tape. It's not to say I think everyone actually wants some structure, just not so much structure that it negates everything we're trying to accomplish.
I mean, any structure will help. And
you need it. Like we're doing this at a high level with some of the highest priced lawyers in the world, and it's still like there's still ambiguity, and you're still dealing with. Well, we're not really
one lawyer
sure.
tells you one thing, one lawyer tells you another thing. And it's not their fault. They just don't know better because they're not being given a legal framework, right? So speaking of framework, and speaking of DeFi, we were just speaking to your father, Zach, who's obviously a real estate tycoon and someone who has moved enormous markets here in Florida, in New York, et cetera, and is now extremely interested in the world of DeFi, et cetera. And he gave you all the credits, actually. I don't know if you were in the room, but he gave you all the kudos. You and your brother saying that you really got him involved in the space, right?
That's kind.
Right. So Zach, tell me, what do you think, about moving real world assets like real estate on chain? And then tell me more about the problems, with mortgages and stuff, and how DeFi specifically solves this, and why I'm asking this, obviously tied into the project.
Yeah, that's a great question, Farouk. A lot to chew off there, but I'll touch on a couple of key topics. First one being transparency. Blockchain technology records every transaction on an immutable ledger. And the best real life example I can really come up with this is as it relates to the bond markets, specifically in 2008, where you basically saw all the big banks take all of these junk bonds, package them with AAA rated bonds, and none of the investors had any clue what they were buying. Why? Because it was really hard to trace. And there were some really smart guys like Michael Berry and John Paulson who figured it out and made an absolute fortune on it. But the average guy got absolutely screwed. And what the blockchain would do, if you integrated blockchain technology into the bond market, for instance, you would be able to see all of these transactions on the blockchain. You'd be able to see that they're junk bonds very clearly, and you'd be able to see that the bank actually moved them from these junk portfolios into these new portfolios because all of those transactions are publicly recorded. So that's one area where I think you can make a real difference with blockchain technology. Another one I'll say as it relates specifically to DeFi is automation through smart contracts. Right, we've all gotten mortgages before. Don and his family, they've gotten some pretty big mortgages, I'd say.
It's gotten a lot harder.
It's
gotten a lot harder.
But let me ask you this: even when it wasn't hard, how long did it take you to get a mortgage? How much?
Insane. And the reality also, the points in and out to deal with people who are really not all that impressive, that were adding not really a lot of value, also just incredibly wasteful. I mean, 3-4 points in and out of a deal. It's like it's nuts on on $1 billion more for what? For a couple of guys to push some paperwork around. I mean, it's truly insane. And eliminating that waste is like, I just take personal joy actually in the ability to actually take on some of those systems, because I'm the guy that had to deal with those guys. I'm the guy that was when I was a young kid and I was still sitting there on an Excel spreadsheet back when in my early 20s was like, I'm the guy giving some bureaucrat a bunch of nonsense that they're just filing away and they're just checking another box and it's points in and out and they're trying to pretend like they're adding value when all they're doing is actually slowing down a process.
And just like we need government efficiency, we need business efficiency.
Right.
Because these dollars are just really being wasted. And the last thing I'll say is I think that it offers a really compelling opportunity for some of the young folks out there that want exposure to real estate. And I know there's a lot of them because they all tell me, Zach, how do I get exposure to real estate? And I'm, I sort of laugh and I tell them, unfortunately, it's really not possible unless you're, one of the top families out there to get exposure to blue chip real estate. And, blockchain technology, tokenizing some of this real estate, you're essentially fractionalizing it and you're opening the liquidity pool to a whole new class of investor. And you're also globalizing it, right? You're exposing, people in different parts of the world to some of these real estate deals. And I think that's really exciting and compelling. It's going to, it's going to cut down on a lot of costs, like Don was saying. And ultimately, it's going to lead to, a big increase in property values, I think. So
wow,
I think it's pretty compelling.
Oh, this is great. I mean, I have one more question for both you and Don, as then I'll segue into Zach, Chase, and Co, and Eric Trump, who may have to run to Fox.
Yeah, I think he's also doing other TV.
This is why we got Baron on.
We're multitasking.
But don't worry, we got your little brother on. So we got Baron on. So Baron, hang tight. Yeah, he's still here. So in the meantime, when Eric's gone, we'll just go to Baron. But just quickly, your father already touched on that before he left. But before you guys go, kind of want to ask you, like, what's it been like, working with Zach and Chase? I'll get to you in a second, Chase. But before that, like, what's it been like, working with the guys?
Yeah, I'll start with that one. Chase and Zach, they're two of the most stand-up individuals I know. They're men of ethics, of morals and integrity. And I would challenge, I'll echo what my dad said, I'd challenge any banker or economist out there to have a macroeconomics debate with Chase Hero. And I'll let you in on
anybody in the room.
It's like stepping onto a debate stage with President Trump. You're just not going to win. So...
By the way, I'll echo that entirely. I mean, like I said, I've been dealing with bankers now for, I graduated Wharton in 2000. So a long enough time. Okay. Quarter century, let's call it. And like,
I wasn't born.
Yeah, exactly. And the level of sophistication, whether we're talking, bond market or yields, right. I mean, these guys will go down a rabbit hole that, I guarantee you the average sophisticated banker on Wall Street could not even keep up. And so, there's definitely, that component of crypto that there's the Wild West, and you got to sort of almost disclaim everything because there's some bad actors, but I think generally speaking, the community has been incredible and embracing. So you sort of do have to look out for that. But like, again, the level of sophistication, honestly, I'm not someone that, I don't judge a book by its cover. When I'm looking at those shoes, I'm like, that looks like my daughter's golf shoes, Chase, but it's fine. It's fine. But these guys start talking about, financial markets in a way that honestly, like, you could put them in a boardroom at Goldman Sachs and they're going to smoke the people in the room. It's actually really impressive. It shocked even me. And again, at this point, I've been stereotyped and called every name of the book. So I don't really judge anything by what anyone else says. I make my own opinions. And these guys have been awesome at that. So it's really impressive. And it actually gave me, such a level and confidence of what I think we're doing here is really a game changer. I mean, this is the start, I think, of a financial revolution.
I love that. I definitely love the term financial revolution here, because definitely what's happening. When you're in crypto, you really feel it. Like there's still 100,000 people tuned into Square Spaces. I'm sure millions of people will see this. And I really hope that every American listen to this, or people outside, just give crypto a dabble or shot, because it makes you feel really different. It's what really got me. NFTs and then the freedom, the feeling of being able to own my
And we're going
money.
to try to do a lot of that also, because again, even for me, I've been following it for a long time. I have a lot of friends in the space,
forever.
but like, I'm still a neophyte, you know what I mean? And I'm okay to admit that. And, there are hurdles, there are complexities, there are, things aren't made as easy as perhaps they could be. And there's sort of a lot of, that fear mongering and this, so, I think a whole part of this is, I hope that we can help sort of simplify so much of this for a lot of people who, love the idea of it, but just, they look at the complexities and they look at just, honestly, even setting up some of these accounts and then, it's like, it can be, overwhelming, but I think there's a lot of people that, frankly, like me, have lost a lot of faith in the traditional institutions, and they sort of realize it's all, a lot of those, just one big Ponzi scheme, and guess what? If you don't know, what's going on, you're not the guy at the top of it, you know what I mean? And so, we saw that in 2008, we saw that, and it was interesting because it was a time where, that was the beginning of my business career in real estate. And I sort of remember going to my father at that time and being like, listen, we got to go all in on this. We got to go. Because, I was just a young, aggressive, 20-something. I thought I knew everything because I experienced, 5 or 6 years of a real estate boom before the world hit a wall, in 07, 08. And so, it was actually the first time I was sort of like, wait, wow, he's learned from his own errors, whether it was in the early 90s or other, and he just looked at me like, don't be so glib. You don't know shit right now. Like, I go, what do you mean? We've crushed it here. He's like, Yeah, but you've never lived through a down cycle. And it was a really interesting message from the guy that is sort of just known as being sort of like all in long every time at all, like, it doesn't matter. And it was like, oh wow, like, it was really sort of introspective. It was a conversation I never assumed I would have had until that point. And man, was he right. We structured our entire business different. We focused on doing, more like a license model for real estate so that, we could participate in the upside, but not take some of that downside risk. And then when the world did go to hell and it did hit a wall going, a billion miles an hour, all of a sudden it was like, wait, we didn't lose anything. We've all these cash reserves. And then we just started picking up things for 10 cents on the dollar, and really grew an empire. And so, it's fascinating to see that. I see so much of that going on here. And I think we just want to make that easy and available, for so many other people that I think would really love to participate in, because I think they have probably that same dejected notion, of what's going on out there with everything else.
No, I've been friends with Junior for years. I've
Yeah.
never heard that story.
I don't tell that story lightly.
That's
That was
the
like, he literally goes, "Don't be glib." I'm like, Donald Trump just said I'm being glib. I'm like, I was like, who are you and what have you done with my father? What's going on here?
I know a thing or two about being Max Long all the time and not believing in downtrends. It's kind of that guy screaming super cycle in 2021 until it hit me in the face. So
Yeah, listen, hey, you know what? I'll say this, like, I've learned a lot more getting punched in the face than I have from the easy times. Like by a factor, like I learned more in that 2008 cycle than I did in the prior 8 years of my real estate career by a factor of about $1 billion.
I love that.
And it changes things. And, I think, and I think that, by the way, that holds true, not just for business or investing, but I think it holds true for life. You learn a lot more about yourself going through the adversity. We've dealt with plenty as of late. So, it's important.
I love that. Chase. I mean, we just got quite an intro. On you,
don't let us down now,
no
man.
pressure.
He's going to start bumbling and mumbling. I'm going to be like, everything I said was a lie. I take it all back. I disavow.
All right. Well, that was fun. So a couple of the comments early on where it sounded like it was kind of he was reading off of a script. The kid doing the interview, very real possibility because he's more focused on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Yeah, he's more focused on cryptocurrency than any of the other current events, which is great. There's, people need to focus on everything. And it really sounds like this was an important thing for the Trump team to actually get out there and really talk about. I mean, brought practically the whole family there to talk about it. So I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot more of this cryptocurrency moving in the future. They spent a lot of time talking about like how it's good. And it makes sense that it would be something to take the power away from the central banks that are out there and truly decentralize the money, which is a very real possibility. But I do believe that the Treasury has to do its damn job and provide us a currency that's based on precious metals. And if they want to do digital whatever with that, I'm okay with that. But people need the option to use cash. And I know that's where a lot of shady stuff happens, but people that want to do shady things are going to be using any kind of way to transfer wealth in the future. It doesn't matter. You can try to prevent the transfer of illicit funds, but they're going to do it no matter what. There will always be a market for things that are outlawed, no matter what they are or how immoral they may be. A way will be made because that's what they do. Definitely pointing us in that direction. And even that Witkoff guy, he is an American investor and landlord. So, and I do believe that this is all important stuff for the investor class that's going to have to buy in to what President Trump is going to be presenting to the American people. There needs to be some kind of change. Obviously, if the GI or the VA home loan guarantee doesn't guarantee anything, their banking system is broken. I can tell you that one from firsthand experience, even when you meet all the qualifications. So yeah, it would be nice for people that have been forgotten by the banking industry to allow them to buy something, like a house without a whole bunch of gruff and being denied the ability to have a home. So yeah, things need to change, and if cryptocurrency is part of that, then so be it. Didn't say much about the assassination attempt. A little
No.
bit. I mean, he gave
Let's-
kudos to the Secret Service.
But let's get through the rest of the news we need to get rid of.
Okay.
Or get through.
Get rid of.
Get through.
All right.
Sorry, that was just it was
It's just-
boring
yeah.
to me, and I have no
No care.
And
or
thank you
concern.
guys so much for asking. I do ask for prayers for tomorrow. I'm having injections in my neck. So if everyone could just have prayers for me tomorrow, that would be amazing.
Truly appreciate it. Yeah. All right. So
Okay, so we got Christian, and he's talking about the attempt.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep. I think. Oh man. No, don't tell me they took it down already. Okay.
Open your eyes. One simple question regarding the second attempt on Donald Trump's life. How did this pissant know Trump was going to be at the golf course yesterday, along with the time? Enjoy your day, Patriots. All going to come out in the wash. Open your eyes.
Did you see that? It said one more attempt to go.
Yes.
Thoughts?
I know that there's going to be more attempts and that they're going to do everything they can to go after President Trump. That's not a surprise. How did he know? Well, I mean, the narrative came out very quick that Trump frequently plays golf on Sunday at that course.
Mhm.
So they can make the argument that, he just happened to know Trump's patterns, whatever the case is. I mean, if somebody's going to research, that's a thing. And it's something that they would know, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't fed that information on how to be there. I'm sure that President Trump has been told on more than one occasion that he needs to change his patterns and his habits, and he didn't do that. Now he might take that bit a little bit more seriously, especially considering the lack of coverage that he gets in relation to other former presidents like President Obama. And I know there's videos out there about the fact that, they check every car that comes within the vicinity of him. We know that President Trump is getting a second class president kind of care by the Secret Service, but this is part of the exposure of the entire corrupt thing. Something that was brought up that I don't know if we even talked about it, but it was what was going on that this had to happen. Now, what were they covering? And I have heard rumor, I don't know if it's true or not yet, but it may come out, and that is that a report regarding the Secret Service and their handling of the Butler assassination attempt actually had connections to some elected officials. And that had come out like 2 hours before the actual assassination attempt. So it would not surprise me that this compromised asset that they have would have come out of the woodworks real fast. So I can see that. I also believe that there is a mole within the Secret Service. I think this was another attempt. I think that this was also an attempt to flush out who that mole is. There's a million ways to do it. And this, could be one way. It's kind of like at the Battle of Midway. Once the government had recognized that they had broken the code of the Japanese Enigma machine, basically, their communications, they put out a report that the air conditioners or swamp coolers on one of the two islands that they thought it was out. they were able to decrypt the transmission that the Japanese were doing, and they recognized that they were actually going to attack Midway. So the U.S., and this is all well documented, you can even read it on Wikipedia, and it was used to ensure that we won the Battle of Midway by pre-positioning everything. And so understanding that the people that were on that island were kind of used as sacrificial lambs, they were able to find out where the real problem was. So I think, yeah, exactly, Steph. This is how you find a mole, by doing things like this, by splitting who gets what information. And then when information is enacted upon, then that's how you find people. It's old tradecraft that, everybody, you just have to read, and it's out there. So yeah, that the mole will go bye-bye. Yeah, I can say that much as well. We probably won't hear anything about it. Somebody just won't show up to work one day, and nothing will be said.
Yep. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Former Secret Service agent. We have to do a better job securing the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Yep.
For more, let's bring in former Secret Service Special Agent in Charge, Frank Loveridge. He spent 22 years with the agency, including as supervisor in the Presidential Protection Division during President Obama's second term. Mr. Loveridge, thank you. First, we have to recognize and commend the professionalism of the agent on the advance team. I mean, who saw that muzzle in a chain link fence with the gunman allegedly hiding in the bushes. But honestly, why did it even get to that? It should never have gotten to that point where we're a hair's breadth away from losing a former president of the United States. What do you see should have been done potentially, and why wasn't the street closed?
Well, thank you for having me on. The first thing, I've been on the golf course with President Bush and with President Obama, and the methodology that we use to protect them is a pitch and catch strategy where we move with them down the golf course. But when you have a perimeter that's tight with concealment from bushes, and thank God the Secret Service agent was able to see that muzzle and be able to attempt to neutralize the shooter. If that hadn't happened, it could have been a very bad day today. So one thing we need to do is we need to start giving President Trump, former President Trump, the assets he needs. I know we've moved in that direction. I know that Acting Director Ron Rowe is doing his best now to beef up the detail, put the right people there, but we have to expand that perimeter. We have concealed locations, and we need to make sure that we have those posted, and they should be swept prior to the event.
Talk about sweeping. I mean, would local police perhaps look through the bushes? Why? Maybe that was done and he came in after that, but wouldn't that be just 101?
Well, 101 is when you sweep, you have to hold it. So once you've swept it and cleared it, you have to put someone there with eyes on it to make sure no one comes back in. And that may or may not have happened. Once again, it's too late to tell. But from what I see and what I've heard at this short time since the event occurred, Secret Service did a great job at evacuating the president out of there. Unfortunately, we can't let people get that close with a weapon to the president. 300 to 500 yards away, a shooter with a weapon. We've got to clear those areas, and we've got to post them so that no one can hide and get the advantage and make it become an action versus a reaction.
I mean, that just seems basic. Why do you think that wasn't done now, or why isn't it done? We saw what happened, in Butler. You just hit on the head. I mean, 300 yards with an AK-47 style rifle and a scope. That's it.
Yeah, it's too close. And obviously we got to do a better job at securing the perimeter. And we have to make sure that we push that perimeter out so we don't have anyone sitting with a rifle ready to take out a former president of the United States.
On Capitol Hill, the task force on the attempted assassination of former President Trump, they say they're concerned about political violence. They want a briefing with the Secret Service on this. Of course, they may have to change the name to the attempted assassinations of former President Trump, sadly. I mean, what will it take from your experience for us not to worry about this, for this not to happen again, especially as it has twice in the last 2 months?
It's unconscionable, the fact that we're talking about this just a little over 2 months after the first assassination attempt. We've got to do a better job. They know that. The bottom line is President Trump needs to get the resources that we would give the President of the United States. I had that luxury when I was in the president's detail for 9 years. We had every asset that you could ask for. We had police, local, state. We had canine units. He needs that. He needs that now. It's obvious. Second attempt. Just think back in just July 12th, the day before the first assassination attempt, we arrested a Pakistani national with ties to Iran, who one of the targets he was looking at was President Trump. The threat is real, and we need to make sure we do a better job at pushing out the perimeter and making sure we're not dealing with a man with a rifle.
Yeah, ironically, I'll be in court tomorrow. The Pakistani suspect, the Pakistani man who is charged, will be arraigned here in New York City for that very conspiracy. He had spent some time in Iran, and there is also concern about Iran's threats. We know that they want to try to assassinate former President Trump and other high-level officials for retaliation of the killing of Soleimani. That we don't know if that was this. No indication yet. Any indication, do you think, when we'll find out about this suspect's motive, more about the suspect, whether he was a lone wolf, whether there were 30 seconds left, any political bent, or that rhetoric that many have claimed potentially fuel this?
Well, we got to let the FBI do their job. What we need to know is who is he associated with on social media.
If they do it.
Check all the records to see if he has any ties to anyone back overseas, if this was state sponsored. I mean, there's a lot of things. He just might have been a lone wolf. We don't know that yet, but we need to do our research, and we need to do it quickly, because the big mistake they made last time was not communicating to the American people, and they deserve to know.
Yep, they do. And we will find out. Frank Leverage, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe.
Thoughts, sir?
Okay, I know that he was kind of playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, wait for the FBI to do their job, kind of things.
Still this.
Yeah. And then don't know if he's a lone wolf or not. We know he's not a lone wolf. I'm glad that they brought up Iran. I do believe that Iranian agents are probably watching every move that President Trump makes. And so that way they can take advantage of these kinds of scenarios where President Trump is exposed. The good thing is that they keep getting imbeciles to follow through with what otherwise might be an okay opportunity. The problem that I see moving forward in the future, unless President Trump's details actually get to be worth something here real quick and have the ability to clear and hold an area for President Trump, I see that the attacks will not only continue, but they'll actually find somebody who is much more efficient at what they're trying to do. It's an awful scenario, but we'll see how it plays out as time goes on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah. But we do need the Secret Service to clean house fast.
Can you read that yellow?
Peter Thiel says, if election is close, Kamala and the Democrats will cheat.
You ready?
Yep.
If it is going to be close, by the way, if it's like going to be a razor thin close election, then I'm pretty sure Kamala will win because they will cheat, they will fortify it, they will steal the ballots, and so if we can answer them in the event that it's close, I don't want to be involved. In the event that it's not close, I don't need to be involved. And so that's sort of a straightforward analysis right there.
Great jumping off point. How much cheating on a percentage basis do you think happens every year? How much, and do you think Trump actually won the last time?
You need to be careful with the verbs. So, cheating, stealing, that implies something happened the dark of night.
Massaging.
I think the verb you're allowed to use is fortify.
We don't want to get canceled on YouTube.
Ballot harvesting. I mean, it was, it's all sort of, there were all these rule changes. It was sort of done in plain daylight. And, but yeah, I think our elections they're not perfectly clean. Otherwise, we could examine it. We could have vigorous debate about it.
Well, what would you change then? What should change? Because we all want everybody's votes to count. We want it to be clean. I'm talking about the audience.
I don't know. At a minimum, you'd run them. You'd try to run elections the same way you do it in every other Western democracy. You have one-day voting. You have practically no absentee ballots. You have and it's one day where everything happens. It's not this 2-month elongated process. That's the way you do it in every other country. You'd have some somewhat stronger voter ID, and make sure that the people who are voting have a right to vote.
Make it a national holiday.
But that's basically That's basically what you do in every other Western democracy, and it used to be much more like that in the U.S. I mean, it's meaningfully decayed over the last 20, 30 years. 20, 30 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, you got the results on the day of the vote, and that sort of stopped happening.
Well, nothing really earth-shattering there, other than I found out the words that I probably should be using, so that way I stop getting throttled on, or so that way we stop getting throttled on some of the more sensitive platforms that don't like words like stolen and, like election and the same like word phrase there. I don't know. For some reason, they just don't like hearing the truth. It's ridiculous that we have to change our speech so that way the real information can't be brought out. But that's why we speak the truth to wherever we can, and that is the truth must be said. The elections have been stolen, and we're worried about it. He never really gave. He danced around the question of what kind of percentage you think by going into how we have to play the word salad games. But the fact is that he said it, and that was apparently a fairly large group of people who got into a chat with Peter Thiel, which says that it's a bunch of people who are around the finance sector. So the finance sector is being brought into this. The people who have been waking up to what's going on, this is going to be another phase in terms of trying to wake people up and trying to wake up the people who are very concerned about the economy and how we're going to move forward. They see, and everybody knows, that the dollar is either dead or it's dying. If you've been paying attention, you see that the Federal Reserve had its symbol taken down, logo or whatever, taken down outside of Missouri and hasn't come back up. We still haven't heard anything about that. So the Federal Reserve is going away, and the smart people are figuring that out, and the investors are going to want to know where we're going. So it sounds like this is what's really going on. That's what's being pushed. We're going to be hearing probably a lot about economics and finance over the next week.
Yeah, absolutely. You ready?
Yep.
Oh, my Lord. Folks, have you seen this? If you haven't seen this LA Times article, you need to go find it, and you need to read it right now. This one, you need to go find it. This is the most incredible article I've read in a very long time. Why? Because they're bragging about it. You would think that if moderators of a debate go in with the intention of a 3-on-1, they would try to hide it from you. Not these guys. They're proud of it. This article goes through all the details about how Lindsey Davis and David Muir prepared and planned to do exactly what they did in the debate against Kamala Harris. For weeks, they studied hours and hours of Trump interviews and Trump speeches to make sure that they knew what he was going to say so that they could, quote unquote, fact check him. You know, the famous Lindsey Davis line that she is regretting every day since then. She planned that. She prepared for that. They spent weeks running through scenarios so that they could do exactly what they did. They role played. They used stand-ins to plan and practice how they were going to interfere in that debate. And why did they decide to do it? Why did they decide to tarnish their reputation and soil ABC's name, although it's already been soiled for a long time? Read this bottom paragraph right here. They did it to protect her. They did it to make sure that what happened to Joe Biden in the first debate with Donald Trump didn't happen to Kamala Harris. Yeah, you read that right. They're bragging about the fact that they designed the 3-on-1 attacks that Donald Trump experienced during that debate specifically to protect Kamala Harris. They admit it. And it seems like they're happy about it. The problem is it failed because the fact checks that they had prepared, most of them were lies. And now the American people have spent the last week learning about those lies. Everything that they fact check has backfired in a big way, and they realize it now. But the fact that they willingly admit what they did, it's corruption.
Thoughts, sir?
I think that this was the other main thing that was coming out because it tied all of it together. That this information came out. And so an attempt on President Trump's life would definitely take the heat off of that, where they're spiking the football. They love to spike the football.
They do.
You remember that Time article where they said that they rigged the election, fortified the election was what the words they used in Time. So if you want to know how to say things, I guess you just go to the biggest communist one of them all, which is probably Time, and they said beforehand that they were going to do it because that's what's necessary to protect the democracy.
They
that doesn't
bragged
exist.
about it.
Yeah, they brag about it. So this is what they do. They love to see how important they are. They're trying, in their minds, what they're doing is they're setting up the history books where they're written of as the saviors of the republic, as opposed, or the democracy, when in all actuality, it's a republic, and that's actually worth saving because every philosopher just about says democracy is a failed system. Kind of like other failed systems like Marxism, but that's another conversation altogether. But democracy is just code word for Marxism. So we see how it really works. But anyways, yeah, these are the things that we need to continue to talk about. And then I believe that you said that you already put that one in the Telegram. So that way you can go find that LA Times article if you really feel like reading the LA Times. But yeah, the information's out there.
Yep. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read that.
It says, is Comrade Kamala drunk, trying out a new accent, or both?
Hello to all my divine nine brothers and sisters and my sorors. And to all my HBCU brothers and sisters.
Thoughts?
I don't even know what that was. I really don't. But she did seem like there was something like altered. Yeah, definitely sound a little drunk. And that accent sure does change a lot. Too bad she has no idea what she really sounds like, because none of us do either. But that's what happens with fake people is they just come across as sounding like fake always, all the time.
I mean, she's just, I don't know, weird.
She is. She's fake.
I mean,
That's what it is. That's what's so irritating about her. Is you don't ever know what's real with her. How are we supposed to know? She changes every single time that she's on TV. Every single time that you see something about her, she's too busy trying to be like the people she's not, as opposed to just being an authentic person and being herself and letting the American people actually care about her. Yeah, she is a B-lister in Central Casting.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you go ahead and read the bottom there?
Crooked Hillary and Heels Up Harris are crazy, but Tampon Tim's wife leaves both in the dust. Oh, this is terrifying.
You ready?
No.
Sorry.
Oh, God.
Not sorry.
Apologies, folks.
But I kind of liked it when she did this. Turn the page. You like that? Okay, so I need you to be with me and practice with me. What are we gonna do? We're gonna turn the page. Oh, pretty good. Do it again. We're gonna turn the page. And we're gonna turn the page. All right, so I'm gonna be watching you because when I see Wisconsin, and I'm one watching nationally on TV because this is a pretty important place in Minnesota. I'll help you practice with this. You just show me this. Turn the page, right? Turn the page. And you know what else that looks like? Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Donald Trump. We are turning the page. 52 days and we are turning the page. 52 days and it is bye-bye, Donald Trump.
Thoughts?
I have lots of thoughts about this one.
Go ahead.
Well, other than the fact that she's got that terrifying wide-eyed look that they all seem to have for some reason, like they were surprised, or I have no idea. But yeah, that is really weird. And now we have a new Sieg Heil from the party. Turn the page. I don't know. It's gross. It's terrifying. It's scary. I have no idea what to say about that, other than when I see them talking about turning the page, I might not be able to help myself and say that's gay. But maybe give it a little snap for style or something. But they should appreciate.
Here's the thing: they're talking about turning the page. That's exactly what we're gonna do.
Well,
Bye bye,
yeah.
Kamala. Bye bye, Joe.
Well, I wasn't even getting into. I hadn't even gotten into the lack of logic of what she was saying because, well, the page was already turned to this Biden Kamala thing that we have now. And they're saying if here's the thing is if President Trump was going to destroy the nation, why would he wait until his second 4 years to destroy the nation? I mean, that's something Obama was talking to Putin about when he said, I'll have more leeway once, I get reelected as president. I mean, I remember that. He was sitting there trying to talk off mic to Putin, but, whatever. So we've already had 4 years of Trump and things got better. And now we've had 3.5 years of Kamala, basically Biden Kamala, and they have made the country worse. So if we're going off of the record, yes, we should turn the page, but back to President Trump in the future, which gets rid of all those people. But that's the way we're headed. And I think that this is exposure to show the left the craziness of the people that they're following blindly because a television told them to. Come on, people, wake up, realize that there's something not right about these people. But whatever. I mean, I guess they're letting their freak flag fly. Freak flag fry. Whatever.
I agree.
Yeah, close the book. When's the conclusion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah. Close the book
wanna
on them.
read-
Well said, Esto.
You want to read the bottom here?
Yes, JD Vance takes CNN Democrat propagandist Dana Bash to school about Springfield. I don't know if I can say that. Bomb threats, whatever. If we get shut down, we get shut down.
You just don't care, do you?
No, I don't care. I'm not trying to learn a new language of stuff that is,
Okay.
not a proper communication. Anyways, go ahead.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it. What we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now, let me just fact check a couple of other things that you said, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They're in the country through what's called temporary protective status.
Right.
That is when Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand, taking people and giving them legal status. That is not to say that they're here legally. That is a terrible indictment of her amnesty policies that have further opened the border and further
it's
caused
not illegal.
terrible migration into this country.
Thoughts?
So she obviously got butthurt about him telling the truth. And that's what it is. They need to get their panties in a bunch because they've had control of the narrative. Now they can't control the narrative any longer. The press, as far as I can remember, has always managed to keep the real argument from happening. And that's probably because they've always had dirt on people. And so they kept them from saying what needed to be said. Finally, things are being said, and the press has lost a significant amount of its power. Otherwise, J.D. Vance and President Trump wouldn't be able to say the things that they're saying. And in order to stay relevant, they have to let these people go on their channels. And I know that the mainstream media, the legacy media, the old one that's dying, it is being forced to take people and a narrative that and the truth, which they never wanted before, just merely to remain or maintain some kind of relevance, despite the fact that most of America just doesn't like anything about them and doesn't trust a single thing that they say.
No, not at all.
President Trump has done an amazing job of taking out the mainstream media.
Yeah.
And their stranglehold of what truth is allowed to be said.
Yeah. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You want to read that?
Yes, RFK Jr. hammers depopulationist Bill Gates and his deadly vaccines. Which I'm not supposed to say that either.
Ready?
Yeah.
The real tell was what happened with the DTP vaccine, which is diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. Because of Gates pushing this shot, it's now the #1 vaccine in the world, DTP. And it's mainly given in Africa. It was that particular shot is discontinued in the United States because it was killing or badly injuring 1 out of every 300 kids who took it. We ended it in Europe and the United States, but Gates is giving it to every kid in Africa. And in 2017, he asked the Danish government for money to support this program and it said, we've saved 20 million kids. The Danish government said, can you show us the data? He couldn't. So the Danish government went and did its own study, and they had records of 30 years of this vaccine in a country called Guinea-Bissau. And they looked at the records, and what they realized in retrospect, which they were never seeing, is that the girls who were getting that vaccine at 6 months of age were 10 times more likely to die over the next 6 months as children who didn't get it. Wow. And they were dying of things that nobody on the ground had ever associated with vaccination. They were dying of anemia and bilharzia and malaria and dysentery and nobody had made the connection that it's only the girls who got the vaccine who were dying of those things, that the other kids were much healthier. And the Danish government had retained the greatest vaccine scientists. All of them were pro-vaccine. A guy called Peter Aaby, who's like a deity in that space, and another guy called Sigrid Morgensen. And a whole team of scientists knew that. And those scientists started speaking up and saying, you got to discontinue this vaccine. And their careers, Gates made sure their careers were destroyed. So that's when I understood that he actually understands what he's doing. And, this is not just him being hypnotized. He knows that this is wrong because this science was indisputable. And it really made me wonder about what his motivations are.
I don't wonder what his motivation is.
No.
But what are your thoughts?
He made it very clear, she made it very clear, Bill Gates, in terms of what she wanted, and that was to necessarily reduce the population. If I'm not mistaken, that's like an exact quote.
Well, her father was the same way.
I know. They were all eugenicists from
Yes.
way back. And obviously, they're part of that club, which was one of the things that was discussed on President Trump's little conversation tonight on X, and that is that the power that they've held over the money has allowed them, the bankers and the elites as they
Ugh.
love to describe themselves
the elite
as.
scumbags.
You know, they're the most elite scumbags on the planet, and that's how they've prevented people from being able to create wealth the way it's
Yes.
always been done in America. And that's by just being able to take an idea, work hard, and be able to build something that is beneficial for, you know, everybody. So yeah, don't care. But I will say this as a side note that, or back to the video there that we just watched with RFK Jr., and that is he's making rounds. He's making rounds on the things that he is going to be dealing with once President Trump gets elected in office. He's making the rounds to get the people that still watch TV religiously to see what is being planned and what's coming down the pipeline to save people
I think he'll
from
still
what's
get-
going on.
I still think he'll get some of the left people
Oh, yeah.
to listen because of his family's history.
Well, and because of who he is and the fact that he's always fought for very left leaning kind of
Yes.
policies. And so, yeah, the fact that he's making rounds at all after supporting Trump says that everything's changed in the mainstream television world. And it is putting that narrative out there, just like we're getting, or not narrative, but it's putting that information out there, just like the information's getting put out there about what economics are going to be looking like in the future. So this is all setting people up via predictive programming as to what we can see. It's a
agree.
soft letting people know.
I agree. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You want to read that bottom thing there?
Illegal aliens are getting registered to vote, and it's totally accidental, y'all.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Think that's crazy and you think Democrats aren't just trying to create a voting bloc out of these illegal immigrants, think again. New York City not only proposed, but passed a bill which would grant illegal immigrants, non-citizens, the right to vote in local elections. Fortunately, that absurd bill was shot down by a superior court in New York because it was unconstitutional. But New York City is the norm, not the exception for blue cities. Democrat-run cities across America are attempting to do the very same thing as New York. The fact of the matter is that Democrats don't care about illegal immigrants, no matter what sob story they tell you. All they care about is votes and creating a larger voting bloc.
Thoughts, sir. And that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
is awesome, Esto. That you've seen a lot of his supporters, or I've seen support from many of his followers. Talking about RFK Jr. Yeah, oh yeah, I think that the support is going to follow what he says because he's a genuine person and trustworthy, and that's what people are drawn to. That's why people don't care about Kamala or going to see her unless she has some kind of Doja Cat or what the hell is her name?
I don't remember.
Whatever.
Twerking. That's all I know.
Some twerking like musician.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Yeah, musician. Use that word lightly, sir.
In regards to the making illegals able to vote, there's one reason why they're doing that. We know
Exactly.
it. We know why they're doing it because they need votes because they can't get votes from actual Americans. So they're going to try to create Americans out of thin air, and it's just not going to work. Not going to work.
Too big, too rigged.
Too big to rig.
Yep.
There it is.
And they're scared
Of course they're scared.
because they know what's going to happen when he gets into office.
Yeah, he's going to clean house, and justice will be served.
Exactly.
It's coming, folks. It's coming. Just
coming.
going to look ugly for a little while.
It is. You ready?
Hip hop rap crap. Exactly, Tracy.
There you go. I like that.
She's the different one. She's kind, she's compassionate, she's funny, and she's loyal. She doesn't fit into the boxes society tries to put her in, and she doesn't want to. She's unapologetically herself, and that's what makes her shine. She's the kind of person who lights up a room just by walking in. Her kindness is a beacon, drawing others to her like moths to a flame. She's always there with a smile and a kind word, ready to lift others up when they're feeling down. Her sense of humor is infectious, bringing joy and laughter wherever she goes. She has a way of finding the funny side of things, even in the darkest of times. Her loyalty is unlike any other. She stands by her friends and loved ones through thick and thin, always ready to offer support and a listening ear. Her loyalty is a rare treasure, one that is cherished by all who know her. And her beauty? It shines from within, radiating outwards like a bright light. It's not just about her physical appearance, though she is undeniably stunning. It's about the way she carries herself, with confidence and grace. It's about the kindness in her eyes and the warmth of her smile. She's the different one, and the world is a better place because of it. She reminds us all that it's okay to be ourselves, to embrace our uniqueness, and shine brightly for all the world to see. She's a reminder that being different is beautiful, and that true beauty comes from within. If you've watched this far, comment 100.
So,
All right, Kay, thoughts?
so I picked this one because I wish I could get my camera to work. It's being weird.
Regardless, it's not working.
Yeah, I know.
There
we go.
All right.
Okay, had to play around with it. Okay, I picked this one because it's so true. You know, it's okay to be all those things. And it's okay to have a complete open heart and to love everyone no matter what, and to be there for people regardless. It's really important to know your worth, and it's really important to be okay with, even if you're the only one in your group of friends that does that. It's what you're supposed to do. It was God's plan for you. And I asked Santino the other day, because when I was growing up, my mom was not very nice to me and would say very mean things to me about my looks and my appearance. And I looked at him and I asked him why he loved me so much and why he thought I was beautiful. And, he said, because you are. And you know what? I believe him. It took a long time, but I believe him. And more importantly than that, I believe I'm beautiful on the inside, which is where it counts. Because you can be the most beautiful woman on the world and have an ugly heart, and you're ugly to the bone.
Ugliest to the bone.
Yeah. And so just know that it's okay to be you, and it's okay to love people unconditionally, and it's okay to be there for people when they need you, regardless of what's going on. I'm very blessed that I have so many important people in my life now because of this show. You guys make me smile every single day. And I'm blessed to have, and I'm gonna, be mushy for a minute, but I am so blessed to have Bethany in my life. And I am so blessed to have Shauna in my life, and Tracy and Jenny and Hope and all of you guys. You guys mean the world to me. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you. You guys warm my heart every single day. And that's why we come back every single day, even on days when we just don't feel like it.
When life sucks.
Seasoning, sir.
So beauty is an interesting thing. And I know that people get hung up on that, and it clouds our judgment. But then again, we're visual creatures, right? But what can we do? We can work on the beauty of who we actually are. Kamala has a ton of potential to be a very beautiful woman. I'd like to say that about Hillary, but I don't know. But like the potential is there. The potential is there, and it radiates, like has been said, because of what's coming from the inside. There was that video. I think we have it for tomorrow. What's his face that always did the Ford commercials? Movie star.
Oh, yeah. Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey and his very, very angry look that he had on his adrenochromeless kind of face gauntness thing going on.
This video is going to shock you guys.
Yeah, if you haven't
join
seen
us
it
tomorrow.
Yeah, join us tomorrow. If you haven't seen it yet, we got that one for you. That's coming in the pipeline. But the man looked like he had never been happy in his life. And that's what shines through when you're angry, when you're mad, when all of these things, you're cutthroat because you care about money or things more than everything else. We're starting to see that. Americans are opening their eyes to the very nature of what's going on. And they're seeing what the fruits of people's labors are and what that does to their facial features. It really does change. If you're angry inside your heart, it's going to shine through on your face. But we'll talk about that more. But be that beautiful person. And you can be that way by knowing how it makes you feel when you're doing things. Does it make you feel good because you're making other people feel good? Or does it make you feel good because other people are not like they're going through some misery? There's some of that Schadenfreude. You need to avoid the Schadenfreude, the pleasure in other people's pain. And that is the fruits of people's labor is what kind of world does it create? So make sure you're going out there and you're creating that world that makes other people smile, makes other people's day better, whether you know who they are or not. Let's try to make the world a better place, because in the end, it's love that's going to fix all of these freaking problems that are all over the place.
Two biggest commandments. Love God and love your neighbor like you love yourself.
And for some of us who don't know how to do that loving self-talk, well, love people better than you love yourself. That's, kind of a thing. But anyways, thank you all for joining us tonight. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Rumble, and Pilled.net.
And if you haven't already, please take a moment and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on YouTube or Rumble, hit that thumbs up. If you're over on Pilled.net, take that red pill. If you're over on X, smash that heart. And you know what to do on Facebook.
Yeah, all the things. Hit the buttons. Hit the buttons.
Hit the buttons.
All right, everybody. We love you all. Have a great night. Be safe and God bless.